Yeah. Hello. Oh, okay. There you go. Jesus. What the fuck is my default device? Hello? You definitely should not have had an issue. So, well, before we get started on anything like that, I guess we're doing some maintenance on my settings, which is always just such a blast. We should have better. What do you? That's why you're so shit. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. You motherfucker. All right. While we wait for people to pop in, I'm gonna just do some crosswords, and we'll put on some slop. Yeah, because there is actually a lot going on today, so should be hopefully pretty good stream. Oh. Is this? Oh, it's still my premium carries over to my live channel. Wonderful. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do some history. Hey Dave, how's it going? You want to help out with the crossword? Well, we learn about the fall of Yugoslavia. Because I'm just waiting for, some political fellas to come in before I start going over all the shit that's going on today. Because it's a big news day. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Let's try this one.
Yugoslavia's breakup is often overshadowed by the breakup of the Soviet Union or the protests in the People's Republic of China. Yet its effects can still be seen in Europe.
Oh, wait, actually, this is
Born in the aftermath of the First World War, Yugoslavia was a large European nation that was founded with the purpose of unifying all South Slavic peoples in a single state.
1 of 4 on most
6
molars.
republics, 5 nationalities, 4 languages, 3 religions, and 2 alphabets, all wrapped up into one mountainous country about the size of the United Kingdom. It lasted for most of the 20th century, but suddenly in the early 1990s, everything fell apart. A people once held together by unity were suddenly torn apart by hatred, corruption, violence, and ethnic hostility erupted, and the ensuing wars that ravaged Yugoslavia's former republics were rife with heinous war crimes. These were the Yugoslav Wars, and today we're going to take a deep dive into their history, why the war was fought, and how unresolved conflicts still simmering from them could reignite in the near future.
All right, I think. Ain't nothing but a hound dog.
The Balkans, or the Balkan Peninsula, is an area in the southeast of Europe that is known for its beautiful mountains, immaculate coastlines, and picturesque lakes. And its cultures are just as diverse as its nature. For the thousands of years that humans have inhabited the region, it's been home to dozens of peoples, kingdoms, and languages. After all, it sits near the center of Europe with quick access to the Middle East and to North Africa. Unfortunately, for the many people that lived there, this location that gave it so much diversity also made it a tempting place to conquer. Indeed, throughout the centuries, foreign powers lined up one after another for their slice of the pie, including the Romans, Byzantines, Ottomans, and Austrians. But the people of the Western Balkans, that is, the places that would later join to become Yugoslavia, weren't Romans, Ottomans, or Austrians at all. In fact, the majority of the people here were Slavic, specifically South Slavs, and as early as the 17th century, the idea of Slavic independence was beginning to brew. This is how Yugoslavia was first born, simply as an idea that all Slavs should be free from their oppressors and unite in a single state that was devoted to brotherhood and protection from foreign tyranny. This is even represented in the name, which comes from the Slavic roots literally meaning south and Slavs.
Right.
Throughout the 18th century, intellectuals from Croatia and Serbia threw around plans for the creation of this epic Yugoslavia. It was to be a federation of separate Slavic people where each nation kept its ethnic identity while simultaneously sharing Yugoslav as a national identity. All Slavs would be welcome. There would even be a king, and the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church would be regarded as equals. These were big, exciting plans, but at the time, they were just that. Plans. Until they had a real shot at independence, the creation of Yugoslavia would have to wait. For now, they were still stuck firmly under the control of foreign powers. But by the late 19th century, the world was moving in a new direction. After almost 5 centuries of occupation, Serbia declared war on the Ottoman Empire, fought for their freedom, and secured their independence in 1878 at the end of the Serbian-Ottoman Wars. As a result, Montenegro also gained their independence. This was a big step towards the overall goal of Slavic independence, but much of the surrounding regions, such as the areas that would become Croatia and Slovenia, were still under the control of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. But some of this control was disputed. All over the Balkans, there were overlapping claims of territory and control between the UK, Russia, Italy, and, well, basically anyone that wanted more resources, land, and influence for their empire. The tangled mass of alliances, both public and secret, argued over who owns what.
Toys. Jesus.
Many were worried that the Balkans would be the catalyst to screw up the balance of power that had been constructed after Napoleon to avoid another massive European war. This, along with the growing tensions between the Balkan nations themselves, earned the region the affectionate nickname the powder keg of Europe, as all it would take was one spark, and the whole continent would ignite. And, as it turned out, the nickname was pretty on point.
Sunday.
After yet another period of war known as the Balkan Wars, the powder keg finally exploded. On the 28th of June 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated by a group of Bosnian Serbs in Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia.
Mustache.
Armed by Serbian extremists, they believed that his death would result in the independence of Bosnia and Herzegovina from Austria-Hungary, which would be yet another liberated Slavic nation. It was also believed that the Archduke could soon become a threat to Serbian independence as well, so killing him was just hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Instead, however, as we all know, the assassination catapulted Europe straight into the First World War. But despite the death and carnage that came with the war, the fighting actually did open the doors for the long
That was a hit yesterday.
In 1918, the Central Powers had been defeated, and Austria lost control over its Balkan neighbors. This was finally their chance, and immediately a new South Slavic nation was formed, the state of Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs. Only 33 days after its creation, it joined forces with Serbia and Montenegro, officially becoming the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. This name was a complete mouthful, though, so it was later shortened to the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. So,
no clue.
There we have it. After centuries of ideas, planning, and fighting, Yugoslavia had been formed, a free nation governed by Slavs to fight tyranny and preserve independence. So, everything was going to be sunshine and rainbows from here on out. Right? Well, definitely not. First of all, democracy was quickly abandoned and a royal dictatorship was established, which historically has never ended well for a country. Then, in 1941, Yugoslavia was torn apart once again, this time by an angry German dictator easily identifiable by his mustache.
I think I solved the lighting issue, so I don't have the Hitler stash anymore.
At the onset of World War II, the leader of Yugoslavia was Prince Paul,
if it looks too thin, then I'll
just
have to shave it again.
King Alexander I in 1934. Paul was Prince Regent, which is basically a temporary leader if the monarch is too young.
I know this
In this
one.
case,
I
he
haven't seen
was
it,
holding
but
office until the rightful heir, Peter II, was old enough to take the throne. As the war started spreading across Europe, Prince Paul was completely aware of the danger the Nazi Germany posed to his nation. After all, Yugoslavia's army was pretty poorly equipped compared to the Germans, and the economy was kind of in the dumps. He decided that instead of fighting the Axis powers, he would just give in to their demands. So on March the 25th, 1941, he signed the Tripartite Pact, the treaty of the Axis powers that would not only secure Yugoslavia's independence, but also keep them out of the war. But the Yugoslavian people were not happy about this decision. In fact, they were pretty pissed off about it. Protests and riots began that same night, the biggest of which took place in Belgrade, Serbia, where the people chanted from the streets, better a war than the pact. Better the grave
cushions
than a slave.
What?
Just 2 days after the pact was signed, Prince Paul was overthrown in a coup d'etat. Senior officers from the Air Force, along with high-ranking members of the Royal Guard, took control of the administrative buildings in Belgrade and announced throughout the city that Peter II, despite just being 17 years old, was now legally of age to rule Yugoslavia, and that the country would not be signing a pact with the Axis powers. Prince Paul was on a train heading for a holiday at the time of the coup, so he stopped in Zagreb, Croatia, renounced his regency, and took his family into exile in South Africa. Funnily enough, Peter II had no idea that this was going to happen, and it said that he heard of his own coming of age over the radio of all things, but he accepted it and was inaugurated on the 28th of March 1941. Pamphlets were dropped from aircraft to every city to tell the people what had happened, and crowds gathered to shout support for the United Kingdom and stand in defiance of the Axis powers. Even the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, which had been banned since 1920, announced its support for the regime change. After hearing about the coup, the exiled governments of Czechoslovakia and Poland praised the people's bravery, and Winston Churchill said, "Yugoslavia has found its soul." Despite so much international support, they now had to face the consequences of their actions. Hitler was furious. Germany had already been planning to help Italy with their stalled invasion of Greece, so after hearing about the inauguration of Peter II, he decided that he could make short work of Yugoslavia on the way. Hitler was worried that Britain and perhaps any new allies that would join in the war would be able to use air bases in Yugoslavia to bomb Germany, so he gathered his high command and ordered the invasion to begin as soon as possible. Just a week after the coup had taken place, Führer Directive Number 25 was underway. The Luftwaffe carried out immense bombing runs on Belgrade, who didn't have nearly enough fighter planes to defend the city. After the airstrikes, Axis ground troops moved in from Hungary to the north, from Romania and Bulgaria in the east, and from Italy and Albania from the west and south. Yugoslavia simply couldn't compete with such overwhelming forces, and after just 12 days, the country was completely occupied by the Axis powers. Peter II fled the country. The Kingdom of Yugoslavia was no more. The terms for surrender.
I miss a good snow day. I don't know if it snows where any of y'all are at, but man, just waking up, seeing on TV, no school, getting together with your friends and just sledding and trucking snowballs at each other. It's such a good time.
Were absolutely brutal. The country was chopped up and placed under control of neighbouring countries, and puppet governments were set up in every republic. Following the invasion, Yugoslavia's casualties in the Second World War were immense. Local groups that supported the Axis powers executed anyone who spoke out against them or even acted suspiciously, and the Axis powers murdered tens of thousands of civilians under the pretext of suppressing riots. The worst of all, though, was the ethnic cleansing. The Ustasha, for example, were a fascist group pushing for a new independent Croatia that would side with the Axis powers. For years, the Ustasha committed genocide against Serbs, Jews, and any other Croats who were anti-fascist. These killings were carried out in huge numbers, with thousands being publicly executed week after week. Likewise, the Serbs and Montenegrins committed genocide against Croats and Muslims. Despite the heavy oppression, resistance movements in Yugoslavia were perhaps the strongest in the entire war. Many nations had underground movements that disrupted the Axis until they were liberated by the Allies. But the resistance fighters in Yugoslavia essentially took their own country back by themselves. When the surrender had been announced, loyal members of the Yugoslav army fled into the mountains of Bosnia and Serbia and formed groups to wage a guerrilla war for the old crown. These groups were known as the Chetniks. But one man had a different vision. This was Josip Broz Tito, the leader of the Communist Party of Yugoslavia. He saw the resistance as a chance to not only liberate the nation from the Nazis, but to also establish a new socialist government in the aftermath. So, almost immediately, he began amassing his own groups, known as partisans, to fight the Germans head-on. Impressively, that same year, his partisans liberated several towns and helped over 2,000 Jews to escape the country safely. The Axis had gotten so fed up with Yugoslav resistance that they announced reprisals, saying that they would slaughter civilians for every German that was killed. Many of the royalist Chetnik groups slowed their operations down after this, but Tito and his partisans used it to their advantage. After they liberated a village, the survivors in the town would have no option but to join the partisans, as they knew that their only other option was to wait for the Germans to return and to execute them. New recruits joining the partisans were quickly trained thanks to experienced veterans from the Spanish Civil War that were aiding the resistance. The partisans were so effective that the Germans began seriously concentrating forces to destroy them, but each time they suffered heavy casualties just to kill a few resistance fighters. Tito came close to capture and death several times, including when his headquarters were surrounded and bombed, but he managed to narrowly escape every time. At the Tehran conference between Franklin D. Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin, Tito was brought up by name and recognized as the true leader of Yugoslavia, and the partisans were named an integral part of the European war effort. Peter II, still in exile, called upon all Yugoslavians to unite under Tito, and those who did not would be considered traitors. The recognition of the partisans as true Yugoslavians became even more widespread when their Chetnik rivals became more and more radical, with their main goal changing from liberating Yugoslavia to creating a greater Serbia. As they liberated villages in Bosnia, they would systematically massacre all Muslims, as well as Croats on a smaller scale, hoping that after the war, Serbs would be the majority to dominate the region. Support for the Chetniks diminished as time went on, and more people threw their support behind Tito and the partisans. By 1944, the Axis forces were split across Europe between the East, West, and South, and knowing this, the partisan groups launched a full offensive with hundreds of thousands of fighters now in their ranks and a little help from the Soviet Red Army. They took back every major city within days, and the Germans were forced into a full-scale retreat. And even as they retreated across the borders, Tito's forces pursued them relentlessly. By the end of the war, Yugoslavia had regained all of its pre-war territory, and Tito was set up to lead the country into a new socialist era. At least 1 million people died in Yugoslavia between 1941 and 1945, with some estimates as high as 1.7 million. Many were from combat, but an unbelievably high number, possibly as high as 700,000, were the direct result of ethnic cleansing by fascist Croats and nationalist Serbs. The genocide was so deadly in Croatia that, along with thousands of Jews and Muslims, every 6th Serb in the country had been murdered, meaning that almost every remaining Serb had a close friend or family member who'd been killed by the fascists. Even though the war was now over and remaining Nazi sympathizers were being hunted down, these atrocities would...
Yeah, that should have been my first thought, the Tour de France. Southeast France. Okay. Wait, but how did you get CY from that? Oh, Southeast. But, like, that's not an EU plate. This looks relatively recent. Although I do not know. It doesn't look like Citroën or Renault. Because Southeast France is more mountainous. Yeah, but, like, why France? Like, other than them being on bikes and it being like the Tour de France. France. Tour de France. Welcome. Right, I'm just saying the car doesn't have a French plate. I'm gonna defer to your judgment, and if you're wrong, I'm killing. No, whatever. Whatever. Put ourselves in Montpellier, maybe. Let's give us a big 2005. All right. Yeah, we were. That is true. We were both wrong.
Not be forgotten so easily.
I had no idea this is what South Africa
November
looked
1945,
like.
the monarchy was officially abolished. Peter II remained in exile for the rest of his life, eventually settling down and dying in Denver, Colorado. Yugoslavia's elections had resulted in a landslide victory for the Communist Party, placing Tito in charge of the nation. The following year, the country was renamed the Federal People's Republic of Yugoslavia, and Tito got to work rebuilding his post-war nation. Yugoslavia was now comprised of 6 republics: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Macedonia, and Serbia. A lot Along with these, Serbia also controlled two autonomous provinces, Kosovo and Vojvodina. Initially, Tito sought close ties with the Soviet Union and took an aggressive Cold War stance, but after some disagreements with Stalin, Yugoslavia began to isolate itself from its fellow communists and declared itself a neutral
horse
nation.
artillery.
Then the name changed another time, becoming the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, and Tito was named president for life. Now, as far as dictators go, the 20th century certainly had a lot worse than Tito.
1904?
He was indeed the most powerful man in Yugoslavia, but each country had its own constitution.
The 1904 Kentucky Derby. That's what we're going with.
Also, Tito was well aware of the simmering tensions between the republics, that leftover resentment from World War II. But he kept them from fighting with each other by
I don't know where you're getting St. Louis.
Brotherhood. He emphasized that even though their republics had their issues with each
other,
I
don't see an arch.
They were all Yugoslavians, just as the nation's creators
I
had
know.
intended. And under Tito's unity,
I'm gonna guess
the country
Kentucky,
had immense economic growth throughout the 50s and 60s, a great fresh start for a region decimated by war. Now, with that being said, Tito still had his suspicious dictator moments, like when his chief of secret police complained about his policies and then mysteriously died in a freak traffic accident. But the point is that under his leadership, the country was actually doing quite well.
We run it back,
itself.
I guess.
But Yugoslavia was about to learn the age-old lesson of never putting all your eggs in one basket. In this case, the basket was Tito himself, and his presidency came to an end when he died in 1980. Following his death, Yugoslavia started heading downhill pretty quickly. As the Cold
we should
War
get the
started
location
winding
right
down,
this
economic
time.
aid from both the Soviet Union and the United States started disappearing, and ethnic tensions that had been held down for decades started to boil up once again. So, what was going on? Well, first of all, Yugoslavia was getting into some
Do you think that's Northern Line?
Tito's reign had seen quick economic growth, but at the cost of borrowing lots and lots of international money and relying on a lot of foreign aid. As everything started slowing down, inflation was becoming a serious problem. This irritated Slovenia and Croatia, who were much more financially stable than the other republics, and felt that the economic problems of Yugoslavia were a result of the unproductiveness of the South and not indicative of the Federation as a whole. Indeed, the other republics had considerably higher unemployment rates. Along with the money problems, nationalism was once again on the rise, with each republic becoming more and more invested in its own people than Yugoslavia as a whole. And so the republics began to vote more and more in favor of autonomy. And they were able to do this because of the way the government was set up. After Tito's death, the central government was made up of one president and a league of 8 representatives, one from each of the 6 communist republics and both of the autonomous provinces. Together, they voted on matters that affected the entire federation.
Well,
the majority
Louisiana is like France too. So like the rest of the U.S. is Britain too. Louisiana, for some reason, was like, nah, we're French. Like, their legal system is French. It's odd. But, also, you should hear less blips and shit on the stream today. I fucked around with my audio. That would then make sense. Bar grill. Yeah, all right.
Required for action to ensure that one republic didn't have more power than the others. Meanwhile, over in Kosovo, trouble was brewing. Fighting had been breaking out between Kosovar Serbs and Kosovar Albanians. The Serbs were accusing the Albanians of trying to control Kosovo and started counter-protests against them. A Serbian politician named Slobodan Milosevic was sent under the pretext of putting an end to the uprisings, but instead he gave a speech supporting only the Kosovar Serbs. His rhetoric earned him a loyal following of Serbs all over Yugoslavia, and a short time later, he organized his followers into huge protests known as the Anti-Bureaucratic Revolution, during which the leaders of Kosovo, Vojvodina, and Montenegro were booted from office and replaced with allies of Milosevic, which, after he was elected president a few years later, gave him a powerful voting bloc with 4 out of the total 8 votes in the league. With this power, he was now free to do as he pleased seized with Serbia, Montenegro, and the two provinces. Croatia and Slovenia were horrified at this, and their news outlets began calling Milosevic a nationalist and a fascist. He responded by trying to use his power to silence Slovenia's free press, which only fanned the flames and drove Slovenian public sentiment further toward independence. That wasn't much of a problem to Milosevic.
Moderate day.
Do what he did to gain power in the other territories, kick out Slovenia's president and replace him with an ally. He organized a large group of Kosovar Serbs to march into Slovenia, but Croatia held their ground and blocked the protesters from passing through. The situation was starting to deteriorate all over Yugoslavia, and something needed to change soon. So, at the beginning of 1990, the 14th Congress was held with the goal of finding some way to reform the federation and hold it together. But, like we mentioned earlier, Serbia had a voting bloc, so every time Slovenia made a suggestion, Milosevic shot it down. Not long into the debate, Slovenia's delegation got fed up with Serbia and promptly just walked out. Milosevic tried to keep the party rolling, but as he opened his mouth, the delegations from Macedonia, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina got up and followed Slovenia out the door.
No. What's this one?
Following this, the countries began holding their own multi-party elections, and for the first time since World War II, nationalist parties began defeating the communist ones, mostly under the promise of protecting them from Milosevic. In Croatia, the elected president was highly in favor of seceding from Yugoslavia entirely, and even adopted the old checkered flag, symbol of independence.
I always
brought
forget
back some
Namibia.
painful memories of the atrocities committed 50 years earlier. The Serbs living there announced that if Croatia could become independent, then the Serb majority parts of the country could also break away, and so armed Serbs began blocking roads and took control of big portions of the countryside and weapons depots. The president of Croatia dispatched helicopters to take care of the situation, but just as they were arriving, Yugoslav fighter jets appeared alongside them, telling them to either go home or be shot down. The helicopters complied, and they turned around. This was possible because the Yugoslav army, also known as the JNA, was supposed to be made up of members from every republic. However, in the years leading up to this, Serbs were continually placed in positions of authority, and other nationalities were demoted or pressured out of the military altogether, effectively turning the JNA into a Serbian puppet army, one that Serbia now had shown that it wasn't afraid to use. Croatia still needed to solve the separatist issue, though, so it started smuggling weapons in from Hungary to deal with the growing resistance. At the same time, Slovenia held a nationwide referendum on the topic of total independence, and a staggering 95% of voters said yes. Yugoslavia was like a rubber band being stretched further and further, and at any moment it was going to snap. In 1991, the Yugoslav army chief met the president and insisted that a state of emergency needed to be enacted in the country to allow the Yugoslav army to quell the unrest and save the federation. He claimed the republics vying for independence were actually doing so at the hand of foreign powers, saying an insidious plan has been drawn up to destroy Yugoslavia. Stage 1, civil war. Stage 2 is foreign intervention, and puppet regimes will be set up throughout Yugoslavia. In spite of this, Croatia held an independence referendum, and 93% of voters favored leaving Yugoslavia, in part probably because the ethnic Serbs didn't show up to the polls. The decision was made official when, on June the 25th, 1991, Croatia and Slovenia officially declared independence from Yugoslavia. That night, Slovenia moved to secure its borders and airports, and because most of the personnel stationed there were already Slovenes, most of them just changed their uniforms and insignias. They quickly set up defensive positions and braced for combat with the incoming JNA forces that were being mobilized, which quickly arrived on June the 26th. The JNA began dropping leaflets into the capital that read, "All resistance."
I think it might be time to do some actual politics.
Had a good work over the last.
So, the main show begins now.
Couple of days. Being at West Point yesterday was incredible. What incredible people they are. And I think it was a very big success, and it was an honor to be there. Very importantly, we had some very good talks with Iran yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I did some research off stream on historical deportations of people during like the Vietnam War. I found some instances where like people went above and beyond, like burned shit and like broke into federal buildings. They got deported. That's fair. And then not a 100% analogous case. Wait, fuck. What am I looking at? Yeah. Not 100% analogous case, but a guy who was involved in anti-Vietnam protests when he lived in Japan. He was flagged by the State Department of like Customs or some shit. He came to the U.S. They were like, "Hey, you're flagged," but they let him in. Then 9 years later, he leaves to go to a conference in like Amsterdam. Comes back. Customs says, "Yep, we're detaining you. Unless something else happens, you're going to be deported in a couple days." And Ronald Reagan's State Department was like, "Nah, let this guy in." So that's cool.
Today, and let's see what happens. But I think we could have some good news on the Iran front. Likewise with Hamas on Gaza. We want to see if we can stop that. And Israel, we've been talking to them, and we want to see if we can stop that whole situation as quickly as possible. But having to do with nuclear, we've had some very, very good talks with Iran, and I don't know if I'll be telling you anything good or bad over the next 2 days, but I have a feeling I might be telling you something good. We've had some real progress, serious progress. On any other front, I don't know. Do you have any questions?
That's a wonderful source.
Do you have a message for the Senate? A lot of Republicans have said there are going to be significant changes to the budget bill.
Well, I want the Senate and the senators to change, to make the changes they want, and we'll go back to the House and we'll see if we can get them. In some cases, those changes maybe are something I'd agree with, to be honest. It happens. But we've had a very good response from the Senate, and I don't know how Democrats can't vote for it. If they don't vote for it, they're talking about a 68% tax increase. Remember that. If the Democrats don't vote, it's a 68%
Sky News
tax increase, which is ridiculous. And one of the things that's being covered indirectly is the fact that we'll be lowering the cost of drugs from 50 to 85% under Trump.
That's
and
cool.
It's going to have indirectly something to do, not directly,
range
but indirectly,
restrictions. Okay,
something to do with the bill, the one big beautiful bill, and it is a big beautiful bill.
Well, that'll be something.
And so I think the Senate is going to get there. I hope they're going to get there. I think they're going to have changes. Some will be minor, and some will be, fairly significant. But we've been working with the House all the way up. They've been working together, and the Speaker has been working with the leader of the Senate, and they've done a great job. John Thune and Mike Johnson have done a fantastic job. They've been working together all the way up, so hopefully that'll be fine.
President Trump, Anthony Cuomo, he's under federal investigation. Do you have a comment on that and how that should impact the mayoral election coming up?
I think it gives it an Ivanka out of 10.
No, I was surprised. I didn't know exactly. I just read about it just like you did, having to do with Andrew. I've known Andrew, and we've had an on-off relationship. He was saying the greatest things about me. I'm the greatest president, etc. And then the next day it hit us. But I did a lot for them. I brought in the ship during the COVID crisis. I brought in the Mercy ship, and I built about 3,000 units in the Javits Convention Center. And he didn't use them. I don't understand it. He wanted them, but he didn't use them. But I hope it's going to be okay. I hope it's not going to be serious for him. Let's see what happens.
You spoke to European Commission President von der Leyen. Did you discuss
von der Leyen? Is that even close?
50% tariffs, and did you agree to
She just called me, as you know, and she asked for an extension on the June 1st date. And she said she wants to get down to serious negotiation because I've told you specifically, but I told anybody that would listen. They have to do that. And we had a very nice call.
Sorry, this is... Whoa, look at that intro.
Ursula von der Leyen.
Emma saying...
You are looking at Julian's.
I don't know. I don't like this one.
Pronounce better some of the most say what these German politician who is now the president of the European Commission. let's go through the German pronunciation, the original pronunciation of her name.
I don't like this guy's voice, man.
German, from Germany, not Dutch. German. German pronunciation. Ursula von der Leyen. Ursula von der Leyen.
Okay, I guess. That's not... What did he say?
Told anybody that would listen. They have to do that. And told you she wants to get down. She asked...
And did you agree with Commission President von der Leyen? Did you just...
I guess it's just like an Americanized thing on LLPG.
She just called me, as you know, and she asked for an extension on the June 1st date. And she said she wants to get down to serious negotiation because I've told you specifically, but I told anybody that would listen. They have to do that. And we had a very nice call, and I agreed to move it. I believe June 9th would be, July 9th would be the date. That was the date she requested. Could we move it from June 1st to July 9th? And I agreed to do that. And that she said we will rapidly get together and see if we can work something out.
Another question. You announced on Friday about U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel.
Oh, yeah. He was traditionally against the U.S. Steel, Nippon Steel merger, but he's letting it through. That's probably fine. It will actually help the U.S. steel industry. Don't have to put up federal funds for it, so that's probably for the best. Just the only concern really is that a foreign country will own a lot of Nippon Steel, or like Nippon Steel's Japanese. They'll own a controlling interest, I think, in U.S. Steel. So that's why it threw up a lot of red flags. But if there ever was an ally to own a significant U.S. company, I think Japan would be the one, or the UK. But
structure look like? What made you satisfied about it?
It'll be controlled by the United States.
Oh, never mind. All right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't make the deal.
So it'd be a 49%.
I went to the unions, to all of the local unions. They all wanted it, and I'm doing it because
the
all
unions
of the
changed their tune
congressmen
then
came
too.
in, about
I thought the unions wanted to block it. Whatever.
5 of them, and the others, I understand, are in concurrence, and they asked that I do it. Everybody seems to want it, and we'll see. I mean, you know, we'll see what the final is. But they're going to invest billions of dollars in steel, and it's a good company. Nissan's a very good company. We'll see.
Nissan?
But it's an investment.
Minor misspeak. You
but it'll
fucking
be controlled by
loser.
the USA.
President Trump, on Saudi Arabia, you came back with a lot of investments. There's an American who's stuck there and facing a trial for tweets. His family want you to intervene and ask the Crown Prince to let him go. What do you think about that?
I haven't heard about it at all. If you give me the information on the plane, are you on the plane? Give me the information. I'll see what I can do. Do you think he's okay?
I'm a reporter. I can't take it.
But are you giving a recommendation?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, then maybe I won't do it. I don't know. You tell me the way you posed the question. I thought you assumed he was okay. What did he do, supposedly?
He sent some political tweets about Saudi Arabian politics.
Were they bad?
He said he approved of renaming a street in D.C. It was fairly...
Okay, well, here's Florida. Right?
Provide us an update on Russia and Ukraine as well.
Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time.
Oh yeah, this is the big.
I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all. Okay? We're in the middle of
fucking
talking,
finally.
Rockets
Hi, welcome. We've all been here. Welcome to the table. Yeah, it's a little wild. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't like it at all.
Mr. President, what do you want to do about that?
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. We'll see what we're going to do. What am I going to tell you? You're the fake news, aren't you? You're totally fake.
What did he say?
All right, any other questions?
Not that it matters, but what did he say?
What Putin is doing, not even a little bit, he's killing people. And something happened to this guy, and I don't like it.
Can I follow up on that? A Russian commander reportedly said that Putin was almost caught in the middle of a drone attack from Ukraine.
Fuck yeah.
I haven't heard that, but maybe that was
Come
the
on.
reason. I don't know, but I have not heard that.
President Trump, Secretary Hegseth's acting chief of staff is a Biden administration holdover who has said some very critical things about you.
Bro, Jesus. Yeah, this is the second time, I think, because there was that one drone attack on the Kremlin.
Vice President Vance, your thoughts on that?
Who is the chief of staff?
Ricky Faria.
I have no idea who he is, but if he did say that, I would recommend that we don't take him. I mean, if he did say something like that, I would recommend
What the fuck
we
did
don't
this guy
take him.
say?
But let's see. I'll take a look. Faria, I'll check it out. Yeah.
On Harvard, do you think you'll come for their endowment in any way or go after financial aid?
Well, look, part of the problem with Harvard is that there are about 31%, almost 31% of foreigners coming to Harvard. We give them billions of dollars, which is ridiculous. We do grants, which we're probably not going to be doing much grants anymore to Harvard. But they're 31%, but they refuse to tell us who the people are. We want to know who the people. Now, a lot of the foreign students we wouldn't have a problem with. I'm not going to have a problem with foreign students, but it shouldn't be 31%. It's too much because we have Americans.
Why? Why is that too much? There's no shortages of colleges in the U.S. Colleges are competitive, and it's a huge intellectual influx into the U.S. Whatever.
That want to go there and to other places, and they can't go there because you have 31% foreign. Now, no foreign government contributes money to Harvard. We do. So why are they doing so many? Number one.
But they contribute to their own universities that U.S. students go to. Like, probably a good 25% of my friends went, like, to universities abroad. Like.
Number two, we want a list of those foreign students, and we'll find out whether or not they're okay. Many will be okay, I assume.
Whatever.
And
What's the guy's name?
Harvard, many will be bad. And then the other thing is they're very anti-Semitic. Everybody knows they're anti-Semitic, and that's got to stop immediately.
President Trump, Secretary,
who are you in?
New York Post.
Oh, well, I like the New York Post. I like Keith Poole. Okay.
Secretary...
Now I'm going to be nicer to him. I didn't know he was with him. Go ahead.
Secretary Besant has said that we don't need to return textile manufacturing to the United States. Yeah. How do you see, like,
so
a
this
lot
is
of
his name?
Tariffs
okay.
are pretty big on those low-income countries.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. We're not looking to make sneakers, T-shirts, and we want to make military equipment. We want to make big things. We want to do the AI thing with the computers and the
what?
Many.
All right, this story
many
is
elements,
fucking
but
nothing.
The textile,
it's not nothing, but it's
I'm not
a little
looking
convoluted.
to make T-shirts, to be honest. I'm not looking to make socks. We can do that very well at other locations. We are looking to do chips and computers and lots of other things, and tanks and chips.
Chips,
yeah.
Computers, tanks, and chips.
Will there be another round of talks soon?
Very soon. The Iran talks. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. I can tell you the Iran talks.
As soon as you graduate MAGA high school, you're filtered into one of 4 categories: chips, computers, chips, and tanks.
Going very well.
You said you're unhappy.
I'd love that to happen because I'd love to see no bombs
True.
dropped and a lot of people dead. I really would like to see that happen, and I think there's a good chance that it could happen.
You mentioned you're unhappy with President Putin. You've talked before about putting more sanctions on Russia. Is that something you're considering more serious?
Absolutely. He's killing a lot of people. I don't know what's wrong with him. What the hell happened to him, right? He's killing a lot of people. I'm not happy about that.
This is insane.
What else? Anything else?
There was just a person arrested for attempting to apply in Israel to throw Molotov cocktails at a U.S. Embassy office in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
The person also reportedly, who's a dual German-U.S. citizen, issued threats against your life.
Against my life?
Shit.
Against your life, yes.
Damn, they got
We
4.
got a lot of them around. Got a lot of sick people around. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right, well, that's something. What a press conference. Yeah, this Putin guy, he's like killing people or something. No fucking way. You don't say. I'm sorry, that's so goofy. What the fuck? Oh, I just realized I didn't even turn on the fucking video clip. I'm so sorry. You just heard audio of that. Well, my bad. Shit. Yeah, well, that was not great. Okay. Wait, when? I don't know. Whatever. That's fine. I'll just scrub the VOD or something. Oh. Well, okay. You can figure out. Okay, so this one in Heart of Banana, yeah, that's fine. That's not my actual like email.
The Situation Room, otherwise known as your weekly dose of.
Let's see. Let's hit up the AP. Nice. Okay. So I wanted to go over the new polls coming out of Gaza because these are always really, really interesting to read. More tombs found. That's cool. So prepare for more of the yeah, drone attack. Okay. Volcano eruption. Let's see what we got going on here. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Well, as soon as it happens, it's going away. Let's bring this poll to the front. All right, here we go. So this is from the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research. They generally do some pretty dang good work. I've seen these people cited a lot. So let us get to the main findings. Or the actual, yeah, there we go. All right, support for Hamas's decision to launch the October 7th offensive. Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry, read aloud time. It's not my strong suit. So, in total, the opinion of it being a correct decision has declined totally, to about half. Gaza Strip, it's at 37%, and the West Bank, it's still higher than 50%, but as of now, most people in Gaza are like, no, that was a bad call. Yeah, humanitarian conditions are declining because Israel has had a large blockade. I think there's now trucks going in. I'm pretty sure we could look into that because that's fucking insane. From what I've heard, the IDF is like, no, you gotta let these trucks in, but I could be mistaken on that, so I'll follow up there. Okay. When asked if Hamas had committed the atrocities seen in videos shown by international media displaying acts or atrocities committed by Hamas members against Israeli civilians, such as killing women and children in their homes, the overwhelming majority said it did not, and only 9% said it did. That's interesting. Majority. So, in your opinion, in this war, who will emerge victorious, Hamas or Israel? Total, I think it's Hamas is the favored, but Gaza Strip, they say Israel, but a majority is, or plurality is none of them. And total, yeah, West Bank is higher. That typically what WC. Okay, the day after. Who will rule Gaza after the war? We asked respondents to speculate about the future of the Gaza Strip the day after the end of the current war. The largest percentage, 42%, says it will come under Hamas's control. As we found in the previous poll, there are significant differences between West Bankers and Gazans, with only 28% of Gazans saying Hamas will actually control the area, compared to a much higher percentage, 51%, in the West Bank. 7 months ago, 37% of Gazans said Hamas will control the Gaza Strip. In the Gaza Strip, 21% expect the Israeli army to control the Gaza Strip. 19% believe the PA will control it, and 24% believe it will come under international control. That is interesting. If an agreement is reached to end the war on the Gaza Strip, 40%, 46% of the Gaza Strip, 37%. The West Bank support the return of the Palestinian Authority to managing the affairs of the Gaza Strip and providing for the requirements of daily life and responsibility for reconstruction, and 56% do not support it. Last September, 70% said they oppose the return of President Abbas and the PA to the Gaza Strip and control of the Rafah crossing after a ceasefire reach, and 27% supported at the time, with the support in the Gaza Strip at the time standing at 42% compared to only 17% in the West Bank. If the PA resumes its administration of the affairs in the Gaza Strip, only 31%, 38% in the Gaza Strip, 25% in the West Bank support asking for Arab forces from Jordan. I just got a TikTok follower. Arab forces from Jordan and Egypt to enable it to maintain security, and 65% oppose that. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's September 24. Support for the deployment of Arab security force from Egypt and Jordan in the Gaza Strip to assist the Palestinian security forces stood at 32% and opposition at 66%. So that's relatively stable. In June, it's risen and leveled out, it kind of looks like. Anti-Hamas demonstrations in the Gaza Strip. 48% of Gazans, compared to only 14% in the West Bank, say they support the demonstrations that took place over the past 2 months in the Gaza Strip, demanding that Hamas abandon control over the Strip, while some demanded the departure of some of its military leaders out of Gaza. Yeah, I mean, relatively is always something to keep in mind. Sorry, where was I? Demanded the departure of some of its military leaders out of Gaza. Some of the support for these demonstrations stand at 28% in the combined West Bank Gaza Strip, while 67% say they oppose them. Opposition to demonstrations stands at 77% in the West Bank, but only 50% in the Gaza Strip. That is very interesting. Okay, so, however, when they were asked about their opinion on the nature of these anti-Hamas demonstrations, whether they express a genuine opinion of a segment of the population or artificial and driven by external hands, a majority said they were artificial and driven by external hands, while like 20% said they expressed the real opinion of the population. That is interesting. That definitely changes the equation there. Even though almost half the residents of Gaza Strip support these demonstrations, 54% of them believe they are motivated by external hands, and 20% believe that they are both, i.e. that it's a genuine opinion. Oh, I see. Okay. Wait, okay, hold on. And 20% believe that they are both, they express a real opinion of the residents and are at the same time supported or motivated by external forces. Interesting. All right, that does change some. I need like the charts of this. A majority, 70 in the West Bank and 38% of the Gaza Strip, believe that the steadfastness of the residents of the Gaza Strip, despite heavy human losses and massive destruction, is due to their deep belief in God, fate, and destiny. Well, name dropped. Well, 25%, 40 in Gaza Strip, 15 in the West Bank, believe that they have no other option. And 15%, 22%, and 11% in the West Bank believe it is due to their belief in their Palestinian national identity. So the West Bank is pushing that it's because of their faith. And the Gaza Strip is not so much for that. 40% of the Gaza Strip says they have no other option. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can't get out. So, yeah, that I guess would make sense. 15%. So 22 in the Gaza Strip. I mean, are these mutually exclusive? I feel like that question isn't the best unless I'm not reading that right. All right, the release of Israeli hostages, disarmament of Hamas, and the expulsion of military leadership and end the war in Gaza. And the end of the war in Gaza. Overwhelming majority of the residents of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, 88% West Bank, 69% in Gaza Strip, believe that the war on the Gaza Strip will not end and Israel will not withdraw from the Gaza Strip if Hamas agrees to disarm as demanded by Israel and regional and Palestinian parties. Only 17% that the war will indeed end and Israel will withdraw from the Gaza Strip in that case. Okay. If Hamas completely disarms, I don't know. I mean, maybe the Israeli people need to like vote Netanyahu out. I don't know. No, like I'm relatively new to all this shit. So let's see. 73%, 82 West Bank, 60 Gaza Strip disagree with the statement that if Hamas releases the Israeli detainees, the war will end and Israel will withdraw from the Gaza Strip. There's a 0%. I mean, that's a pretty significant minority of people in the Gaza Strip that if Hamas releases the hostages, then but I don't know. I think it'd have to be a combination of the release of hostages and pressure because the hostages are back. The war's been going on for what, year and a half, 2 years? Like, not gonna have the backing of anybody. Yeah, 2 years now. Jesus. Okay. I'll say that if Hamas releases the Israeli detainees, we'll stop. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? I'm surprised that this number is this high. And why this one, I would think, would be higher, demanding the complete disarmament of Hamas in order to stop the war in the Gaza Strip. Do you think that the war in Gaza will actually end and Israel will withdraw from the Strip if Hamas agrees to disarm? I don't know. I don't. If someone knows why, I guess this sentiment is lower than this. Interesting. Okay. When asked whether it supports or opposes the disarmament of Hamas in the Gaza Strip in order to stop the war on the Gaza Strip, an overwhelming majority, 85% in the West Bank, 64% in the Gaza Strip, said that it is opposed to that. Only 18% support it. That tracks. Like, yeah. When asked whether it supports or opposes the eviction of some Hamas military leaders from the Gaza Strip, if that was a condition for stopping the war, 65% said they oppose it, and 31% supported. Support for this step stands at 47% in the Gaza Strip and 20% in the West Bank. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So again, it just seems like it's creeping up. Like it feels like it's starting to get like closer to 50-50, and maybe the scales will be tipped the other way. Yeah, that's sorry. All right. Trump's and Israeli calls for the displacement of Gazans. We asked residents of the Gaza Strip about the U.S. President Trump's statements on the need to displace them in order to rebuild it and whether they are ready to immigrate from the Strip after the end of the war. The majority said they are not willing to immigrate, but a large minority of 43% said they are willing to immigrate from the Gaza Strip, after the end of the war. When asked whether they would be willing to apply to Israel to help them emigrate to other countries through airports and seaports, 49% said they would do so, and 50% said they would not do so. Despite Egypt and Jordan's rejection of the U.S. president's requests to accept the expulsion of Gazans, a large minority, 43%, holy shit, believes these two countries would bow to U.S. pressure and accept the immigration of residents of the Gaza Strip, while a majority, 53%, that's also thinner than I thought it would be, a thinner difference. But if Israel were to occupy the Gaza Strip, 47% of the public believe that it would force Gazans to immigrate through its ports and airports to other countries in the world, but 49%, 51% in the Gaza Strip, and 47% in the West Bank believe Israel would not do so. That is interesting. Oh my god. Okay. Support for Hamas rose again. Oh. In a previous poll, we asked. Sorry. Water. As we did in our previous poll, we asked in the current one about the public satisfaction with the role played during the war by various Palestinian, Arab, regional, and international actors. On the Palestinian side, satisfaction with Hamas's performance drops to 57%. So the West Bank has dropped, but in the Gaza Strip, it rose. Abbas is down. I guess they just started measuring the PA. Wait, what? What is this chart at the end? May 25. Moss. Now I'll ask you about several Palestinian actors and whether you are satisfied or dissatisfied with their performance during the current war. This session 40. So this is satisfied as 43%. Okay. But that rose. And do we not have any other data points on the PA? Why are there 2 Abbas figures? What? Is this meant to be here? This is... Oh! It's a missing gap for the PA. Okay. I see. Right. Okay. Support for Abbas down. Support for Fatah is up. And the Gaza Strip down overall. Okay, interesting. We asked the public for a second time what political measures the PA leadership should take today to help to address the effect of the current war in the Gaza Strip. We presented the public with 3 options: reconciliation, formation of a national unity government, and the provision of humanitarian services. First came the formation of a national unity government to negotiate with Israel and the international community to end the war and rebuild the Gaza Strip in the future, with 46% opting for it compared to 42% 7 months ago. I think, yeah, but need to settle the fucking thing. Like, oh, they don't have a state. It's like, okay, let's help them make a state so that can't use that stupid that excuse to not like negotiate. Jesus. Second was achieving immediate reconciliation and unification of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. 34%. Third option, chosen by only 16%, was for the PA to lead a campaign to provide humanitarian services to the residents of Gaza in cooperation with Egypt and the international community. It is worth noting that support for the formation of a national unity government stands at 52% in the Gaza Strip and 43% in the West Bank. Interesting. As for satisfaction with Arab/regional actors, the highest satisfaction rate went to the Houthis in Yemen. As we found in our previous polls, today it's 74% higher in the West Bank than the Gaza Strip, unsurprisingly, followed by Qatar, 45%. Okay. Hezbollah and Iran. The following figure shows the distribution of satisfaction in the current and previous polls in the West Bank and Gaza. The findings show that a rise in satisfaction just a rise in satisfaction with Yemen and Qatar. Okay. I mean, these are some densely packed numbers. My. Let's go. Yemen, up, down, up. Yeah, okay, so the change in satisfaction with, like, Hamas and other, like, I guess, terror actors is around the same time with the aid blockade. So that could be part of the reason. Oh, and Israel's new offensive. That's probably, I would guess that's more of the reason, but we'll see. Oh. We asked the public about its assessment of Iran's role in Palestine in light of what has been happening since October 7th. Is it a useful role or harmful role to the Palestinian cause? A majority of 54% believes Iran's role is harmful, while only 32% believe that it's beneficial. For international actors, China received the highest satisfaction, 26%, followed by Russia at 21%, and the United States at 3%. Okay. Wow. We were on the up and up. Aid blockade, new offensive. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll asked in May. Yeah. Okay. Fear in the West Bank and the spread of the war from the Gaza Strip to the West Bank. 75% of West Bankers say they fear the spread of the war from the Gaza Strip to the West Bank, while 23% do not have such fear. 65% of West Bankers believe that if the war spreads to the West Bank, Israel will succeed in destroying most of its cities as it did in the Gaza Strip. Despite this, 55% believe that Israel will not win a war in the West Bank if it moves there from the Gaza Strip, but 40% believe it will win. When West Bankers are asked what they would do if the war moved to the West Bank, will they move with their families to Jordan or stay in the West Bank? 88% said they would remain in the West Bank, while 9% say they will go to Jordan. I mean, yeah. The people want to live where they live and have lived. Like, it's not like a magical solution to say, all right, why are we even doing this? Give it all to Israel, and then everyone is there. Go. People want to live where they are. Israelis want to live in Israel. Palestinians want to live in Palestine. And they overlap a bit. Quite a bit. So it's just this whole like Trump plan of displacing everyone in Gaza is infuriating. Like, parliamentary and presidential elections and the domestic balance of power. If presidential elections were held between three candidates, Marwan Barghouti of Fatah, Mahmoud Abbas of Fatah, and Khalid Mishal of Hamas, turnout would be 64%. Vote for Barghouti would be 50%. So, who's this guy? What does he believe? I mean, I've heard this name. I'm still... Oh, he's a two-stater. Alright, let's see. Born as a Palestinian political leader who has... Oh. Okay, my computer's chat went out for a second. Palestinian political leader, advocated two-state solution prior to his imprisonment by Israel. Oh, well, now what? Led street protests until 2002, the early Second Intifada, when he was captured, convicted, and imprisoned by Israel on charges of involvement in deadly attacks that resulted in the death of 5 people. Okay, so where does he stand? Is he still in prison? Jesus. Despite his imprisonment, Barghouti has top polls asking, okay, who they would vote for. So prominent supporters of resumption of the Israel. Oh. Yes, denied visit. Denied visits. Interesting. Okay, so he's advocating for a peace plan from prison. Oh, okay. Is there... Palestinian Nationalist Social Democratic political party. I love Kamala. Okay. Hello. Notepick ZL. How you going? Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Okay. Well, seems like plurality. Hello. I do too. That's why I'm here. What is going on? Yeah. Okay. Where are you from? If you don't mind my asking. Ah, more UK. I think at this point I have more UK viewers than I do American viewers. American, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, you guys have a pretty interesting immigration crisis, problem, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Hello there, Brit. There's a couple more Brits. It's been a while since they've popped in, but oh, Barghouti was way down in the Gaza Strip, up in the West Bank. Wait. I don't know enough about Starmer. See, what makes you say he's bipolar? Is just going back and forth on immigration? Is that what I meant to take from that? Oh, this is three guys. Wait. Oh, Mahmoud Abbas? Fuck. This is part of the history I should know. Is a Palestinian politician that has been serving in as the second president of Palestine and the PNA since 2005. He's also been the fourth chairman of the PLO. Abbas is also a member of the Fatah party and elected the party's chairman in 2006. Reform? Oh no. Nigel Farage? You guys can fight that out. I'll figure out what Boss is all about. Hey, well, I'm center left here, so Rishi Sunak versus Nigel Farage. Well, aren't they meant to be like an antagonizing minority party that pushes the Tories right? Indian Prime Minister Abbas led. So real. March December. Corruption as well as just oh. Okay. There's a lot going on here. He is funny, but here. We'll do that in a sec. But so is Trump, but it's not really good for the U.S. He just copied the playbook. All right, I'll do more research on this guy. I should have come more prepared, but Yeah, well, 2016, brother. Jeez, nobody wants to vote for anybody. You vote anyways? What did you do? I'm kidding. So, okay, that's interesting. Jeez. Too young. Okay. Close question we asked public to choose the person that deems appropriate as president, Abbas' successor. All right, most prefer, or a plurality prefer. I was a libertarian too, or like a Republican at 16 as well. Yeah, it happens. And then when you hit uni, you'll be communist for a second, and then you'll probably end up either center left or center right, unless you stay communist or get sucked into the manosphere. Which way, young man? All right, Abbas, they want this guy to resign. Okay, and they prefer Barghouti. Where would you want to go if you could go anywhere? Ugh. Okay, so it seems Hamas is still the largest plurality. USA. So you don't want healthcare? Or any. Okay, that was gonna be my next question, not gonna lie. Tell me, what attracts you about this beautiful nation? Okay, my value add here is at a limit until I can big houses in USA in like the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it all depends. So do you have a state in mind? Because that heavily depends too. Okay, so this is going into the research notes because I should know all these politicians. All right, what else is on the docket today? Let's do this.
Oh my god, the world is... I'm Simon Whistler, and this week we're bouncing between 4 different continents.
Has a gaff out there in Florida? Yeah, I know what Nan is, but gaff is too British for me.
Each of which is screwed in its own special way.
Actually, wait, before we watch this, I'm going to use the restroom. Be right back. Yeah. George. What? So you guys are 45 minutes apart?
Starting in North America, we'll see how the White House's rhetoric about annexing Greenland is bleeding over into espionage and dangerous real-world consequences. Then we pivot over to Europe and a Franco-German plan to get serious on defense. From there is a jump to North Africa, where violence is, once again, engulfing Libya. Before we end, we'll take a trip to South America, where the regime of Nicolas Maduro is engaging in what appears to be destabilizing grey zone tactics against neighboring Guyana. As always, timestamps below if you want to just jump to a specific story, but obviously I'd rather if you watch the whole thing, because that's how YouTube works. Oh, and subscribe, why not? Let's get straight into our main story today, Greenland. It was one of the most disturbing scoops of the year.
Is this the fancy
on May 6th,
one?
The Wall Street Journal dropped the following bombshell, quoting, "The US is stepping up its intelligence gathering efforts regarding
What's
Greenland,
the really fancy
drawing
one in the
America's
UK?
spying apparatus into President Trump's campaign to take over the island." Quoting anonymous sources working in America's spy agencies, the story painted a picture of focus being redirected towards an ostensible ally. According to the journal's reporting, a, quote, collection emphasis message was recently issued to the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the National Security Agency, ordering them to learn more about Greenland's independence movement. As the story
UK
notes,
fancy
quoting again,
supermarket.
collection emphasis message helps set intelligence agency priorities,
F&M.
directing resources and attention to high-interest targets. It's that last phrase,
Whoa.
high-interest targets.
Ooh, googly, you're a bit posh.
Why this story was so shocking. In the general course of things, US intelligence gathering might track the movements of Russian troops in Ukraine, say, or the dealings of domestic terrorists. So for it to target an ally like Greenland was all sorts of unusual. As the semi-autonomous territory's foreign minister, Vivian Motzfeldt, declared after the story broke, quote, "We're supposed to be friends. We are allies. Allies don't do such things." Now, before this segment really gets underway, we should be clear about the alleged extent of American intelligence gathering. As far as anyone could tell, it has so far been limited to open source intel rather than anything truly outrageous like wiretaps or infiltrating Greenlandic groups. Nor is anyone claiming that...
I think the furthest north I've been is York. I don't know where that is relative to you, but York's cool. Wait, those two are heavily disparate, no? Like, Labor would be some of our, like, medium left. And then, I thought Reform was, like, kind of pretty far right, but Labor center now? Wonderful. Then what's your left-turn party? Left-turn? What's your lefty party?
This is the first stage in a plot to do something drastic like overthrow the local government. Still, the revelation is combined with recent White House rhetoric.
This is where you need to
anxiety.
shop.
After all, it wasn't so long ago that Trump responded to NBC asking if it'd rule out taking the island by force by saying, "I don't rule it out, I don't say I'm
They
going
only
to
in
do
California?
it, but I don't rule out anything." And it's here that we get to the intriguing part. Whether or not Trump really wants to invade Greenland, the perception of this threat is already scrambling politics in multiple places. And that's leading to all sorts of unpredictable consequences. Nowhere has this been clearer.
Well, yeah, I know
than
conservatives
Denmark,
are
a nation
right.
that until recently considered
Really?
itself one of America's staunchest allies. As its politicians like to point out, Danish troops fought alongside
Jesus,
the US in Iraq and
$16
Afghanistan,
eggs,
where
fuck
they
that.
sustained dozens of casualties. The reason we're discussing the Danes is because Greenland's current legal status is as a
Haddock
semi-autonomous
potatoes,
part of the
haddock,
Kingdom of
Finland.
Denmark. Although most affairs are devolved to the island and its 56,000 residents, Copenhagen maintains control
Wait a
of
minute.
defense and foreign policy,
Never mind,
while
this is
also
you
providing
guys.
annual subsidies to the tune of $550 million, roughly equivalent to 20% of Greenland's GDP. And we say current legal status because the fate of Greenland could change at any time. Since 2009, the island has had the right to become a fully independent state should the population vote in a referendum to go.
I don't know. You made it.
Given the history...
It's your fault. Oh! Okay, wait. After we finish, I'll figure out whatever.
Between Copenhagen and Nuuk, that seems all too likely. Long administered as a colony, the island suffered terribly under Danish rule. In the 1960s, for example,
there's a new Dulles game. It's called Scrandle. And it's just people at the footy showing their scran. You have to vote on which one you think more people prefer. It's great.
4,500 Inuit women were forcibly fitted with contraceptive coils to stop them reproducing. Former Greenlandic Prime Minister Mute Egede described this as a genocide. This and other grim legacies have left Greenlanders with a strong independent streak. Post-2009 polls have consistently shown vast majorities in favour of splitting off from Denmark. Yet it's here that we come to the first unintended consequence of Trump's Greenland fixation. Recent actions, like the intelligence gathering link, may be pushing Nuuk closer to Copenhagen. That's the conclusion some have drawn from Greenlandic elections in March, which saw the opposition Democrats come to power on a
you need immigration to
now,
have a proper labor force, but yeah, the way UK and the rest of Europe handles immigration is just terrible. Way worse than even when the US was at the height of its immigration problem recently. Like, they're still doing better than Europe. Anyways.
The Democrats' desire to approach secession gradually is rooted in basic finances. A Greenland that stands on its own 2 feet is one that will need to replace the giant subsidy Copenhagen sends with economic growth. And while plans are underway to expand the tourism and mining sectors, Nuuk is still a long way from good financial health.
No.
But with the threat of annexation hanging over them...
No, dude. Okay, without immigration, your already feeble economy will fully collapse. I'm just saying. You just need to fix the way you handle it.
The party and the coalition it leads seems to have pivoted in a more pro-Danish direction. Since the election, new Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen has made a point of traveling...
Right. Let's do some Scrandle. Alright? I mean, this is... £12 for all this? Although, 50 cents is really fucking cheap. But this just looks too goddamn good. Yeah. That is the saddest looking buffalo chicken sandwich I've ever seen. And those obviously are like fire, but you'd like die. Yeah, okay. All right. Wait, why do they actually look good today? Usually there's like some horrible shit. Currywurst with bread for $3.50. Buffalo wings and chips for... this is a tough one. Is currywurst any good? I'm gonna go with this, but... What the fuck? Yeah, this is some... I would presume if you've got a picture of some scran, then this is cheaper. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Lamb keema fries. Bro. Oh, this isn't Czech. Okay, this isn't English. Horseradish and red onion on bread. Oh my god. Oh, brother. This just looks better. Jeez. Ooh. Hog roast roll and crackling. What the fuck? Versus a lunchbox from Japan? Go in the lunchbox, man. That looks way better. Walthamstow. Wait, when I lived when I studied abroad in the UK, I was in Walthamstow. And this looks like fucking dog shit. Like, that's so easy. Mushroom what the fuck do you guys eat? What is this? The hot dog is whatever. There's the piece of cheese in the middle. What the fuck? Bro. Stupid. Holy shit. Look, you're 16, you'll grow out of reform. Looks so bland. With a bun and a pint, easy money. Perfect scrandle. Yeah. Oh, man. What other dulls we got? Nah, we can do more of this, honestly. I'm having a blast. That's so easy. Trying to find something that looks absolutely heinous. All the fucking food looks good. Make me hungry. Honey butter chicken, waffle fries and a drink. Fried chicken and chips. I mean, this just looks better. Bullshit. Everyone's just mad because it says USA up there. Fuck off. The Thai noodles look way better. That's just a depressing fucking burger. Don't even start with me. But like, what the that, like, I'm sure this would taste good, but it's what the fuck? Oh, cheesy chips. Barely cooked fries with shredded mozzarella. They may, and watch out, guys. We can't use like Parmesan cheese or cheddar cheese. It might have too much spice to it. You fucking freaks. Okay, never mind. Nobody likes that shit. I don't know where that is. Your country will have to answer for this war crime. The pie is probably good, but mushy peas as like a sauce or topping? Hell no. See, that looks good. The fried apple pancake, I'll pass on that. I'm taking the fucking steak pie, chips, and gravy any day. I'm trying to hear the country UK. United Kingdom and try and feel happy. Oh, fuck. This looks like a wet shit. And this looks like a dog's dick. Welcome to Europe. We play soccer and we eat shit and dick. Okay, no, this is stupid. I honestly... I think I'd rather shoot myself than eat either of these. Honestly, this looks way better. That looks like... Okay, no... no, that look... Sorry. I'm not gonna soy face and be like, Bing Japan, alright? That's better. fuck off, you fucking internet losers. See Japan, and you're like, that's a proper bun for a proper dog. All right, that makes sense. That looks really good, though. But if I'm at a sporting event, I want a hot dog. Okay, all right, that makes sense. That's good. I can get behind that. We're doing another one. Bro, how does the same country make both of these? Why? How? That's not even a small team. That's a very big team. Bro. Yeah, man. Or fuck, I can't even. Bro! Oh no. What is this? Yorkshire pudding wrap? Oh my god. Oh, the lighting. That's the bro, it's a piece of chicken like yay thick between two pieces of untoasted bread. Fuck you mean the lighting? I know. This is bad and worse. Oh my god. This looks better. Okay. I think England has to take this over. How? You guys have some of the best food, but also the worst food in the entire world. This looks incredible. With mushy peas, other one. Fuck you. I'll die on that hill. Mushy peas suck ass. Okay. It's not even like, this isn't a fair comparison. It's like, do you want beer or do you want pizza? It's like, I want beer and pizza. Beer boot? Go to Germany if you want beer boot. Right? That's where they do that. This would be good. Oh, this is in Chicago, I think. Or no, Austin. Jesus. That's fucked up. But this, the mushy... What, do either of you guys like... Oh, wait, okay. Sorry. First of all, do either of you fucking like mushy peas? Second of all... Oh, okay. Well, we have new people in here. That's cool. Or at least it's showing 5 viewers. We'll see. But, do you like mushy peas, man? I just have to, like... Okay. That gives me hope. Because pie, roast potatoes, that all sounds great. Just this fucking thing. But this hot dog looks like dick. Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine. Okay. 10-inch sausage roll? Hell yeah. I gotta say, y'all were cooking with the sausage rolls. Now these both look good. Hey, this is Australia, but 15 pounds? No, that is too expensive. Especially when that's only 9. Waffle chips are incredible. I'm not... Okay, this is like the same thing, though. This is the same shit. Right? Am I tripping? Chicken... I mean, it... Like, at their heart, they're the same thing. This one looks messier. This one I could eat with a fork. That's what my decision comes down to. I'm not eating bugs. Don't link the video of, what's his name? Oh, I was gonna say, who the fuck calls that a pizza? Italy. We have our own shit dog. Alright, wow, that is really, really bad. That's an embarrassment. But it's not a lot of love either way. God damn. chicken chips, curry sauce. Doesn't look bad, but this looks better. No, I'm not pagan just because it's Japan. So, American cheesy garlic bread versus a margarita pizza. Sorry, you're never gonna break me away from bullshit. Garlic bread with marinara sauce, and you're not taking that? Fuck off, you losers. But this is what? Garlic is too spicy for the Brits. Scotland forever. Bro. Seriously? Then don't you dare fucking say it's the lighting, alright? That chicken burger was still more depressing. This looks fine. Wait, wasn't Aston Villa like the one that had like another horrendous thing? Yeah, they have the shit sausage or whatever the fuck. But this looks like insanely good. I want this. What? Yeah, that's such BS. Are you kidding me? I'm never coming back to Europe. What the fuck? What the hell is this? That's the chode dog. It's actually thicker than it is long. What the? It's not. No. I'm sorry. You can get a $2 hot dog. Or £2 hot dog. Sorry. Yeah, that in New York is going to be at least come with ketchup. Holy fucking shit. Now, this actually looks like a removed penis, but I'm throat necklace. The fuck, man? Roast potatoes and beef gravy. Good, solid meal. Spring rolls and bean sprouts. Honestly, I'm going with the UK on this one. I don't know what the fucking bean sprouts are doing there. Katsu looks good, but I mean, that just looks better. Well, all right. Stupid American goes for the greasy option. What do you think? Okay. Long fries with cheese. All right, Japan. I see you. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but that's something. That looks better. I'm having a blast with this. Hey, it's the shit dog. The Arsenal shit dog versus Grandpa. Oh no. They cut him up and roasted him. That's I can't get over that. Wait, who was the guy who made hold on. Shit kebab. No. This video has to be up still. Finding from town. Finding the kebab. The poop kebab. No, this was a yes. Okay, can I can show pay money wubby, right? Room. Where are you from? Town. I don't know. This is better, anyways. All right, we're gonna watch in light of this. We're gonna watch here.
Back unless I had something important to talk about, and boy do I. This photo, this single disgusting photo of a kebab has haunted my friend group, my thoughts, my emotions for nearly 2 years. And in this video, I'm going to be taking you on a journey of where we started and where we are today. Let's start from the beginning. Wednesday, December 16th, 2020.
Okay, cool.
YouTuber Justin Wang tweets out a photo of a kebab that looks an awful lot like shit. I'm not sure if this is a turd or some kind of actual food I haven't seen yet. Bro, that's definitely a turd.
It still looks
Man's
better.
Like some boo-boo across a few veggies.
People were confused. People were offended. It reminded me of the blue dress photo that went around the internet for a while. The longer I stared at it, the more it would become something else. At first glance, it kind of looks like shit, but when you really start staring at it, I've seen kebab that looks like that. This photo became a bit of a joke amongst my friends, where we would share it occasionally. A small argument would break out.
What the fuck is going on in Wales? It's just chips and curry and a cob. If this loses to this, I'm going to crash the fuck out. Okay. It's not... Who looks at that and says, hell yeah. I like beans are good. Fries are good. I'm not sure what's cheese is good. This looks scary. I like cheese and beans, but this amalgamation of these three moderately good things is fucked up. Now this looks incredible. There's nothing on there, bro. Forgot the everything except the like toppings. I mean, that's easily.
And then it wouldn't go anywhere. I think our autism came together and we collectively decided we need to know once and for all if it's actually poo or if it's a kebab. Starting from the first place that I saw the photo was Justin Wang's Twitter. But it wasn't his photo. He was retweeting somebody else named Cray. Cray tweeted the photo originally in response to a post that read, "What's the worst food you've had at a football match?" Paired with a photo of a really long sausage.
Hey,
responded to the tweet with a photo
this is so topical
and replied, "Stevenage away."
Which is why
I
never mind.
Get in contact
Circular
with Craig,
logic.
ask him if he took the photo, if he knew who took the photo, if it was his shit. And lucky for us, Cray's DMs were open, so I DM'd him right away.
That looks bad. Oh right, there might be flavor involved.
If Cray were to respond, I'm sure that would be the end of it. But unfortunately for us, he didn't. So let me explain something important here. When we find this photo reposted online, it's important to look at the date. The earlier the date, the more likely it's the original poster. So at this point, we have Justin Wang's tweet on December 16th and Cray's tweet from earlier that day. Both of these were in December, but we knew we had to find something older. And that's when we found the 9gag post. The post was titled, "Name That Kebab, Cambodian Cuisine." The photo we found on 9gag was a big deal. If we could get in contact with the person who made the 9gag post, we wouldn't need Cray at all. Let me explain
does 9gag even still exist?
Of 9gag.
When someone posts to 9gag, the username is hidden, which can lead to some strange and weird posts. One user remarked on the issue,
"It used to list the OP under the post, but they removed it a while ago, it seems."
So, although we found this post without a username, it was a dead end.
So we went deeper. We believe to have found the first ever sighting of the turd kebab on the internet. Turkish Kebab House, a small, unassuming kebab shop located in Blackpool, United Kingdom. The first
right outside of
internet
Manchester.
post of the turd kebab, as far as we can tell, appears
Hey,
to be on
wait a minute. You think your soccer team plays near the shit kebab?
Review under the photo section of said Turkish Kebab House. We don't know the exact date it was posted, but we do know it was in March 2020, according to the review, which was 2 full months before the 9gag post and nearly a year before Cray's. Whoever took this photo knew what the photo was. Lee R. We assume it's a he based on the name, and the profile photo is like a Shiba Doge meme. We don't know much of anything about Lee R. Google Reviews keeps their accounts and their users pretty anonymous for the most part. The only thing that we can see about Liar are his other reviews that he's left. And he's left a lot of reviews. Prestige Carpet and Upholstery, fast and efficient. Big Woody's Skateboard Shop, great shop, great selection. Ramp City Skate Park, awesome indoor skate park, my son loves it. London Gents Barber always do a good job of me and my son's hair. This guy, from
More,
what I can tell, seems like a
guess.
normal family man. Not the kind of guy who would upload a giant turd and post it at a kebab shop. It seems vindictive. It seems crazy. It doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would take his kid to get a nice haircut and then go to the family-friendly skate park after. Maybe you could justify him doing it if he uploaded it from a different account, but this was posted from the same account he reviewed a child's haircut from. It's just not adding up. The way I look at it, there's two options here. Either Liar uploaded a picture of his shit for some crazy reason, or Turkish Kebab House is serving kebabs that looks like actual human feces. There doesn't appear to be any way to contact Liar from his Google review. The only other option at this point was to get somebody to order a kebab from the shop and compare it to the photo. And during the midst of a global pandemic, that seemed impossible. So I put out a tweet asking for anyone in the Blackpool area willing to help us with a project. And we got so many responses, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who hit me up. I eventually got in contact with a viewer named Squiggles on Discord. Her and her boyfriend got their cameras in hand, hidden mics attached, and drove from Bradford to Blackpool, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about an hour drive. To be completely transparent, I was a little nervous sending Squiggles to the kebab shop, given some of the reviews for the shop. So for starters, it has a 3.6. That's not good. I wouldn't eat somewhere with a 3.6. Tiger T said, the service here is terrible. Boo Grady Booth said, absolutely disgraceful. Rang to complain about a frozen cheesecake to have the phone put down on me, only to ring back to be verbally abused by the owner. I was nervous sending a viewer of mine, a fan of mine, into a kebab shop that seemed as hostile as this, but we needed answers. I don't think I was ready for them.
Oh, it is Saab. I didn't know they did aerospace.
I wanted to order something, but I'm not too sure what to get. I was wondering if you could help me. I was looking at some of the things, and then what's that one?
That one is chicken and donut.
Chicken and donut. And then that one as well.
Yeah, that one is chicken and donut as well, yeah.
And then what about that one? What's that one?
Oh, it's not ours. Some people who doesn't like us.
They put that picture.
It's normally a shit.
That is actually a shit, actually.
Who hates us?
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh my, and you can't get rid of it at all?
No, I've tried it, but...
No.
Not only did they know about the photo, but they believe it to be a fake review. They claimed they don't know how to take it down. And when they served kebabs, although they didn't really look that appetizing, they definitely didn't look like the photo of the
That doesn't look that disparate.
What are you? What was so frustrating about this is now the only option is that Lee R took a shit on a pita and uploaded it as a review. I guess there is a possibility that the kebab shop could be lying, but I'm not really seeing what the motivation is. They used to serve.
I've only seen this video once in my life.
Doesn't give us the answer because there is still that doubt. For continuity, I'm going to move this. Shouts out to Squiggles and her boyfriend for going out there, spending a day with the turd kebab, and getting us one step closer to the truth. After the whole kebab shop, I felt lost. I felt confused. I knew I wanted to take a step back and get some perspective and get an expert's opinion. So I reached out to a gastroenterologist to get their opinion on it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Carlson. I'm one of the gastroenterologists at Digestive Disease Associates. I basically all day long look in people's bottoms to see if they've got colon cancer. I see a lot of poop all day long.
Dr. Carlson, hey. Dennis, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Dennis.
What is poop?
Poop is basically a mixture of a lot of materials left over from digestion from your GI tract. The thing that gives a stool its color is bilirubin, which comes from bile acids. So if you have a blockage of your bile duct, you might not have any stool color at all, and your stool will be pale colored like clay. But the bilirubin is what gives it that brown color.
What kind of colors can poop come in for humans?
Absolutely. It runs the spectrum from pale, almost white when someone has a blockage of their bile duct, either by like a pancreatic cancer or a bile duct stone, to yellow from diarrhea and excessive fatty, undigestible fats that go through.
If we were to show you an image, do you think you'd be able to identify if it's poop or not?
If it's a recent poop, probably.
I'm going to show you said image here. Here it is. This is the kebab.
While it certainly looks like poop, I have definitely seen kebab stuff that looks like that before, especially if it has any sort of grape leaf wrapping to it.
The darker color here and the grooves going through it. Do those look like something that would come out of a human being?
Definitely could. It's possibly poop. Yes.
If you had to pick a side, what do you think it is?
Oh my god.
I think it's probably a kebab that looks like shit.
How, with all the current evidence, could a doctor, a gastroenterologist, look at this photo and believe it to be a kebab?
Rush.
After my conversation with Dr. Carlton, I don't know what this is a photo of. So I reached out to a kebab expert here in San Diego to try to get another
kebab expert.
Hi, my name is Mark Vesavis. I'm the chef at Emerdine Restaurant. It's a family business, small little shop making authentic Lebanese cuisine.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for agreeing to the interview. You said that this was a family-owned business. Did you
I don't know
grow up in the shop? Have you been
these
around the
people
shop
are.
your whole life?
Yeah, so actually my story is interesting. I come from the Mediterranean culture. You know, every single mom and dad wants you to become either a lawyer, engineer, or a doctor at some point. I studied neuroscience and physiology, and I got a degree in that, and I was supposed to be destined to medical school. Then I had an epiphany where I switched, did a 180 flip, and broke my mother's heart and told her I'm going to culinary school up in Napa. Have a different perspective. Like I have the science background and the molecular background of what food is and what happens to it when you heat it and cool it and things like that.
We have a photo that we're trying to identify the type of meat and the preparation style.
So when you say the meat, like is it like lamb, chicken, beef, something like that?
I mean, I'll show you the photo and then we can go
sounds
from
good.
there.
40 across mice. Yeah, okay, that one Meds? Oh, speaking of, I need mine.
I would, that is not kebab. Well, okay. So the first instinct is this is definitely ground beef of some sort, I think. To be honest with you, if you give this, like to me, that doesn't look like meat. It's like, I mean, it doesn't look anything remotely similar to a kebab. I'm trying really hard to.
Well, you could be honest.
No, I am. I'm trying really hard to like see where it comes from, because like I know the food from all the cultures. If this is some sort of pasta or like ground beef skewer, not cubed meat. They did a really bad job about it. Usually, when you skewer something, you want it to be all symmetrical so it cooks at the same time. So whatever this portion is way bigger than this side. Also, I'm having a tough time kind of like figuring out these grooves, because when you cook meat, especially if it's ground, those grooves, yeah.
It's not typical.
No.
Dude.
So this could, this is way too processed. Corners are pretty cut. Like the way we do our kafta, we don't use pre-ground beef. Like we get the whole lamb shoulder or beef shoulder, and then we fabricate it, remove the fat, grind it ourselves to the perfect consistency, mix it with onion and spices.
Would we be able to see one that you guys can produce?
Mark was not only kind enough to show us the kitchen and how their fresh kebabs are made, but he treated my entire crew to some of their delicious meals, and we're all really thankful for that. After we all ate, he had this to say regarding traditional Mediterranean cuisine.
For people that are trying to open ethnic restaurants in the West and want to showcase the beautiful culture and cuisine that we have that stems back thousands of years, is do it true to the culture and true to the cuisine and the recipes. Then it's an injustice to the food and the history of the food to kind of like toss it and just be like, hey, here, we're just selling you whatever.
Two experts in two completely different fields looked at this photo and believed it to be a bad kebab. Who am I to challenge the opinion of a doctor and a kebab shop owner? All of my friends had exhausted all of their ideas, and we didn't have any more leads. We didn't know what else to do. And with that, the story went completely
What do you
quiet.
think? Is it a shit kebab or is it shit or a kebab? Because
Cray responds to my original
think it's a
DM.
shit.
And not only does Cray respond to my original DM, but he's claiming that he is the one that took the photo. Here's where things get a little confusing, so pay attention. I'm going to go into detail. I'm going to be reading these on my phone, so forgive me. Your Twitter is one of the first sightings of the turd. Would you be able to provide any info on where it came from? Yeah, of course, mate. What's my cut? I don't know if it was me being naive, but at the time, him asking me for money didn't really bother me. I was so caught up in finally getting an answer to the story, I guess I didn't realize that him leading with asking for money is a little odd. So I obliged. I said, yeah, we can discuss payment. You'd have to give me info I don't already have, though. Where's the photo from? Who took it? Is it a turd? Why was the photo taken? Okay, my mate shit on a salad in PETA in the pub toilets of Stevenage, and we claimed that they had provided it. No idea why. I took the pic of it, but it was funny as fuck. Cray is claiming his friend took a shit on a PETA at the Stevenage football arena.
I don't know. I feel like it could even be photoshopped in.
Took a photo of it and they uploaded it as a joke. So in order to get some more proof,
I don't know.
I asked him if he could send me a photo, a screenshot of the photo in his camera roll when the photo was taken. June 2nd, 2020. This was the first problem. We have that photo dated on Google Review, posted by Lee R.
in March of 2020. So after the date discrepancy, I decided to hit up the so-called PETA shitter himself, Cray's friend, Lewis.
Looking at Lewis's profile picture, it was hard to believe that somebody this beautiful could produce something so disgusting. Regardless, I still messaged him asking him if he was the one who shit on the PETA. Do you know when the photo was taken originally? June 2nd, 2020.
The same incorrect date that Cray had given us just moments before.
I wanted to see if they would bring up the Google review before mentioning it, because that in my mind would prove something. The Google review wasn't necessarily easy to find. At the very least, somebody just trying to make a quick buck off me wouldn't mention it because they wouldn't know about it. And I kind of caught them in that way. I'll lay it all on the table.
Really?
There's a Google review posted by somebody named Lee R. in March of 2020. This is the first time the photo was seen online. If you can either prove that you're Lee R by either logging into the account, writing something, there are countless ways to easily and in under a minute prove that you're Lee R. Or provide a post, anything that predates March 2020, I'll pay you and your boy. Don't worry about it. Giving you loads of answers for nothing. Going to football now. Didn't think you'd be like this. It's only a shit. It's only a shit, Lewis. It's only a fucking shit. You're only a fucking shit. You wanna be amateur football player? You're never gonna fucking make it, dude. Keep chasing that dream. Keep fucking chasing it. And when I get to the bottom of this fucking shit, I'm gonna be sitting in my California mansion and you're still gonna be going to the pitch in pouring rain, hoping for a sponsorship, Lewis. It's just a turd. It's more than a turd! Guys, let me ask you something. If I offered you $500, which was my current offer, $500 to log into your Google account and post a review, would you do it? Or be a dick for no reason, the internet now hates you, and you don't have $500. I can't think of a single reason, if this was the original poster of that photo, why they would not acknowledge the Lee R post at all. And that's the thing. I talked for a little while longer with these two. Not a single time did they acknowledge Lee R. Not at all. They weren't even like, I don't know who Lee R is. They weren't like, oh, I am Lee R. They gave no acknowledgement to it. And I found that very shady. These two guys could just be the dumbest human beings in the UK, and they could technically still
I'd say a lot.
The origin of this photo.
No, wait, fuck, I'm from the US, never mind.
To get on a voice call with me because I was thinking maybe there's a miscommunication going on here and maybe the dates were slightly wrong, maybe this, maybe that. They didn't even want to have the conversation with me. And if this video does come out and these guys ever decide to provide proof, let's all as a community laugh at them because they could have done it earlier and made $500 each. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, after the Cray situation, I didn't feel like there was any point. What's even more frustrating was a story that went quiet
that we thought we had just solved went
hand.
right back to
Makes
square
sense.
one. It is a possibility that one of them is Liar, and they had just gotten locked out of their account or something, and they knew they couldn't prove it. At that point, I didn't really know what to do, and I'm being honest, there really wasn't anything we could do. As if out of nowhere, Liar posts a new review on Google. Liar is still writing reviews. Keep in mind, Liar had not posted a review at this point for years.
Sure
So
at
a
first,
new
but-
post was huge. It proved to us a few things. He was still active, and there's a chance we'd be able to contact him. Really interesting under his review that I guess we hadn't noticed before, but the business Shabsies
Growing on
responded
me.
to his review, which meant in theory we might be able to get a
Oh,
message to Liar.
Stella.
Unfortunately, that was impossible. We would have to call shops in a different country, in a different time zone.
Wait,
On
fuck,
that phone
what?
call, we'd have to convince the shop of the documentary we're doing, explain what's going on, and then convince them to use their business on Google to send a message to this random guy for some dumb American YouTube channel.
Fuck.
And that's exactly what we did.
It is
Whoa.
4 a.m. our time here in San Diego, and it's, what is it? It would be about 1 p.m. 1 p.m. in the UK in Blackpool, and we are
It's
currently
growing.
going through Lee's
Babe.
reviews on Google. We're calling up Prestige Carpet and Upholstery
What the
Cleaner.
fuck?
Sorry I look so disheveled. It's 4 a.m. Here we go.
Pigs.
How cannot be completed as...
What?
Okay, what are we doing wrong here? Is that how the UK... Is that
It's-
how the UK ringers sound?
What? What else is wrong? What did I have? What the fuck?
Hi there. Is there a manager or an owner I could speak to?
Speaking to the owner.
We're trying to get in
Oh.
contact with an individual who left a review
As tough.
of your business, among many other businesses, on Google. Through Google reviews, the business can actually send a message to them that will notify them. And we found you guys through a review this person left, if that makes sense.
Okay. Who's the person who left the review and what's their name?
Lee R, L-E-E-R, like abbreviated last name R.
Fucking hell. I don't.
Lee R.
That's correct.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be streaming. I don't know why. I took a day off and my my streaming muscle. We'll see.
L-E-E-R.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Leave that with me. I can't guarantee how that will get on today. My partner was away diving today, so he's not available to sort of search that for you. And it was definitely a Google review.
Yeah, it was 100% a Google.
I know. It's not like it's a tiring thing to do. I don't know. We'll see. This could just be like something in flux, but I didn't have any caffeine today. That could be it. Pretty low energy, maybe. Played tennis this morning. Tired. I don't know.
Review, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Right, leave it with me. I'll see what I can do for you.
Okay, I appreciate it so much. Thank you. And wait, what was your name?
My name's Andrea.
Andrea. Okay.
Andrea, yeah.
Thank you so much for your help. I mean, maybe. Was that good? I feel like that was pretty good.
Couple days passed, and there it is. Let me tell you, I could not believe it when I saw it, but there it fucking was. They left their business email. Okay, not exactly what we asked, but good enough. We managed to get a business in the UK to leave a message for another man based on nothing.
And as excited as I was, it was unfortunately short-lived. And I could drag you guys along here and give you hope, but unfortunately, as I record this, Liar has not responded in any way to the review.
Who is Liar? Who is Liar? Here we have all of Liar's places he's visited, places he's reviewed. This is what we know at this point. It's just not enough. We don't know enough about him. I just wish I could have his ear for 10 seconds. We would know. We could put this to rest. As much as it pains me to say this, this is as far in the story as we've gotten. I think that we've exhausted everything that we possibly could. And I could sit here and wait a year to put this video out, but I do think that we'll get better results if I ask for your help. If you have any information,
let's see if there's
that
an
leads
update to
to
this.
us getting in contact and finding out the source of this photo, I'm offering.
Oh, there is no update on this? Are you fucking kidding me? That sucks. Alright, well, fuck. Oh no. Oh my god, it's all bloody recommendations now. That's not what I meant to do. I just wanted to watch one video. Oh my god. Whatever, we'll go back to waterfronts. What else was on the docket that I wanted to do? Alright, we did the condemnation of Putin, the new polling, pharma and immigration research. Oh, actually, this is what I wanted to do. This. There's some bullshit in here. But before we do, I gotta pee. Diet Cokes, man. We're streamer. We're streamer. Here. Do not be afraid. My children.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Culture War. We got a special episode today. It's not necessarily about a core issue. It's we're being joined by Adam Conover.
Hey, thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna play.
What do you do?
I'm a comedian. I've made a couple television shows in the past. Did a true TV show. Did a Netflix show. I'm a stand-up comic. I'm going to be in Charleston, South Carolina this weekend, and you guys invited me to swing by.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
You had what year was that show? Adam Ruins Everything.
It first came out in 2015, I think, and ran until 2019. We did like 4 or 5.
I don't know if I ever streamed this game, but I
My mom loved your
completed
show.
so much of it.
And I think she watched regularly. I watched a handful, to be honest. I'm not gonna.
That's fine.
lie. But you did have one really good one on gun control that I thought was good because you pointed out Reagan.
This is the
was
stream.
the start of gun control, and you had probably one of the most, I think, honest portrayals when you had a Black Panther and like a white rural like fat guy, both being like, yes, guns.
Yeah.
Because we often see this depiction where it's like
racists
are mad, like they lump.
It's the stupid
all
trick
2A people
shot
in with,
TikTok
like,
things,
all white
but
supremacists
they
or
made it into
whatever.
a Unity
They try and
asset
act
flip.
Like conservatives are mad that black people have guns, and it's like the 2A guys are not racist. It's a totally different ideology.
Well, yeah, we made the point in that video, though, that those people tend not to defend like black people who are the Philandos Castile case, right, was one of the ones that we talked about. But that's comes.
That actually was a really interesting case too. Because there were a lot of people on the right. For people who don't know, this is the guy got pulled over. I think he was smoking weed. He had a gun. He didn't draw it or anything, but the cop just shot and killed him.
I believe what happened. This is so many years ago, and I've done so many things that like my memory for stuff like this isn't as good as it used to be. But I
This
believe
really just has been like political
officer, I have a
northern line
firearm,
today.
and which is what you're supposed to do. And the officer shot him, I think, at that point.
Yeah, like he didn't draw it or anything.
Yeah,
it was interesting to see the rift between.
He like had it stored in the car properly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then a lot of conservatives were like, yeah, well, he shouldn't have been smoking weed. And I'm like, whoa. Like, yes, but die because you're armed. You have a right to keep and bear arms. So that was an interesting contrast. But anyway, that was you got a lot of praise from the Pro 2A people because they were like, hey, this guy's he's being honest. It's like
I'm gonna probably
Pro
clip
2A
up
people,
the
they're not
Scrandle
all going to
section.
be racist, white supremacists, or whatever. But anyway, I digress. What I'm curious. Well, I guess I can ask something simple first. Like, what are you currently working on?
Currently,
It's my
everything I'm doing
wrist.
is like podcast YouTube, right? The mainstream entertainment industry kind of stopped making the kind of comedy I make, and so YouTube has like replaced television for so many people. It's the #1 streaming app on televisions. Their top format is television sets, and so that's where I've moved all my shit. And so I do kind of similar stuff to what I used to do on cable, doing it on YouTube on a weekly basis. And I'm a touring comic.
Right on. Well, let's jump into the current state of affairs.
Come on,
We've
that
got
was so
a second
close.
Trump administration, non-consecutive. What's your take on what is currently happening politically and culturally?
Damn. Yeah, I mean, you're going to disagree. Your audience is going to disagree. That's
the point, right?
It's hard. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to, Tim Pool destroys woke comedian. It's fine. You can start the clip at this point if you're doing
There
your
is the
response
fallacy
videos,
game. I was thinking about getting that.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be
it
fun for
looks like a
10
pretty
minutes.
clear fascist authoritarian takeover of the U.S. government. It's we got people being thrown into unmarked vans. We got like the destruction of the civil service, which is like a pretty standard authoritarian tactic, like early on in a administration of that type. It's like sort of remains to be seen how far they'll get, and if they'll actually be able to transform in America in the ways that they're trying to. But yeah, it's pretty. My side of America, people are.
Tim
people are a
Pool's
little,
brain has already shut
people are on
down
edge.
ever
It's a little
since.
frightening to folks.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need to
My
get the
take on that
second
would
one.
be largely because
I've already spent
corporate
6.5
press is lying to
hours
them,
on this.
Largely.
So
And
look
Corporate
at the
press,
rest
there's,
stuff.
no corporate press left, hardly.
Well, I would say their viewership is rapidly diminished.
Yeah.
But still, when you look at, there was a Real Clear Politics aggregate polling found that they didn't do it necessarily by demographic. They did it by decade age bracket. So it was like 20 to 29.
I think I have Lawn Mowing Simulator.
Age group except for 70 plus was.
And I have Euro Truck Simulator, I think.
Was a few points above.
Could do that. Okay.
Real Clear Politics did a
Well,
average, and
look at
they
the-
said that
oh,
every
Jesus, fuck.
every age group in America.
Actually, wait. Let me pull up my Steam
every age
library.
group except for 70 plus is pro-Trump.
Yeah, let me see if I can try and find it.
And this is contrasting to like all the approval rating stats I've seen have him at like what, like
This is another streamer bait game.
47% and dropping or something like that.
I could play
largely
BTD5
based on the older crowd.
Repo, play
that
some people.
seems
what
like the
else we got?
opposite of
American Truck Simulator. This
every
this
stat I've
could
seen
be
in the
pretty
past, but
fun.
I don't
not
like
gonna
follow
lie.
this really closely.
Yeah, I don't know how to find this image because it was a few weeks ago. But let me see if I can try and pull it up and talk at the same time. Which I
VR
probably
stream
can.
might need to happen
But
soon.
I don't actually. Do you want to see if you can try and find it while we
Doom
talk?
Eternal.
Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting here typing.
There's a new Doom out.
Yeah, so what I would say is like the
Fall Guys
the
is
obvious
fun.
story.
I still love
we,
this game.
We debated this last week live is the Abrego Garcia story.
Yeah,
and
I
so
have the
take that I've typically
golden
seen from liberals
50 times.
is actually I'll use a specific example. The David Pacman subreddit. Pacman, of course, has millions of followers.
Fallout
he
London
gets 100 million
stream
views
one.
per month. And
I got Fallout 4. I just never really got too far into it. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I'm sure it's a great game, but I don't know. Never really been too into the Fallout scene.
And his audience on Reddit was saying, this is just a family man who is trying to escape harsh conditions in Central America, who has been effectively disappeared by the Trump administration, which is a gross mischaracterization of what happened. If we were to say that a judge granted Abrego Garcia
Summer.
withholding of deportation due to Barrios
Yakuza.
18 in
Yeah.
Guatemala
We'll see.
and threats against his life in El Salvador, then the question of due process is
Could do Rocket
he needed to
League,
get
maybe.
a hearing as
Come on.
pertaining to that withholding of
Come on.
deportation. But he did already have two hearings in which he was determined to be an MS-13 gang member. He was pulled over and law enforcement believed him to be human trafficking. He has 2 filings from his wife for beating her. She was filing orders of protection.
This
and
is all,
it's
I
fine if,
think,
in my view, the
true.
liberals the liberal side of things or the
But, like,
you know, podcasters like
this was
Packman, Brian Tyler Cohen, and others.
not
are
excusing
going to
domestic
say,
violence,
hey, he was supposed to get
but
a
it's
hearing.
not
Agreed. But it is a gross
pertinent
mischaracterization.
to
So
the
when you mention
case
that,
too much, no.
you know, people on
This
the
was
left are on
all
edge. I'm like, yeah, well,
settled,
they
like,
think that a
2019.
guy who lives in Maryland who was working like a regular
The argument's not that he's a good
just
guy.
disappeared
That's
one
what I'm
day,
trying to say.
As opposed to a guy who had gone through several hearings, was arrested with MS-13, had symbols on his hand that law enforcement believe were MS-13 gang tattoos. And so the real question is, what was the error in that deportation? On the right, it's legally called harmless error in that he didn't get a hearing as to the withholding of deportation. However, he wouldn't have got it approved anyway. So the answer now is a formality. It's paperwork. It's a Zoom.
That formality is important, motherfucker.
But people on the left, the liberal side of things, they think that this is a working class family guy who's vanished one night, an American.
That
citizen.
is such a
And I
shit
think it was actually,
mischaracterization
people
of this
don't think he's an
whole.
American
Oh,
citizen.
you
I mean, they're
fucking
They're up
asshole!
to speed on like
Hassan Piker thought he was from Maryland. Legit, and so
okay.
and we're talking.
Yeah, like,
you,
yeah.
but this is like the 7th biggest live streamer in the country. Almost every single day, Hassan gets 50K.
That's
and
not true. He's at 20 or
he
some
actually
shit
said on his stream in
nowadays.
response to the comments I made at the White House, "What do you mean he's not from Maryland? Are you saying he's from DC? He's from Maryland." No, he's from El Salvador. He only lived in Maryland for a few years.
Okay. I mean, that guy talks for 8 hours a day. Like you can parse any particular
for sure
statement, but like
He's also stupid.
To me, everything that you said, first of all, half of it sounds unrelated. Like he's had past interaction with law enforcement, like domestic violence and stuff like that. To me, that's like neither here nor there. It's like character stuff. I don't really give a shit about like the character of the guy, and I didn't think that was a big part of the story. It was like the fact that he did not,
Is he still in
receive
CCOT?
due process before being, rendered to
Pretty
a
sure,
prison,
right?
like
I
this
haven't-
bizarre prison
I feel
in
like
El
it would have
Salvador.
been
Like,
big
that's
news
the,
if he
that's
was
the
not.
strange part.
That's
right?
El Salvador's government with an El Salvadoran citizen. That's not our purview.
I mean, he's like sent directly to this like gigantic
That whole it's out of our
complex.
hands. That
It's,
shit is the
in
dumbest
a-
argument in
a,
the
like,
fucking
highly
world.
public way,
It's like,
in a way
yeah, we
where, like, the
sent him here. We
administration,
granted him some
you
kind
know,
of
is
thing.
making a show of their refusal to follow the law. It's bizarre to witness, and like this sort of narrow legalistic. Oh, he had a hearing. He was da 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 da. It's irrelevant to like the purposeful spectacle of the Trump administration. Sending this guy who they admit they should not have done this, but they're like, we don't give a shit. We're doing it just because we hate guys like this, and we want like even people who are in the country legally to, be afraid and to self-deport. Like it seems like the only justification is purposeful cruelty for doing.
I don't think.
Wait,
we're
what the
calling
fuck?
Any illegal immigrants to self-deport.
Okay, wait a minute. I like. That's what I
The guy
say.
had a legal status to be in the country.
He did not.
legally.
That's not true. Withholding of deportation isn't legal status. Withholding of deportation means he was ordered to leave the country. But the U.S. was barred from sending him to El Salvador, specifically because Barrios 18 in Guatemala.
Nah, that's not correct.
So the
I
question-
don't think. Let me double check that because we did a reading on withholding of removal. Foreign protection of the U.S. immigration law when a person. Okay, a person granted asylum is protected from being returned to his or her home country and will apply for authorization to work. Withholding removal provides a form of protection that is less certain than asylum, leaving its recipients in a sort of limbo. A person who is granted withholding removal may never leave the United States without executing that removal order. Cannot petition to bring family members and does not gain a past citizenship, unlike asylum. When a family seeks withholding removal together, a judge may grant protection to the pair while denying it to the children, leading to family separation. Does not offer permanent protection if conditions improve. Okay, so Tim is wrong here.
And as to due process was, this is why I think the actual
shock.
legal standard is called harmless.
I know.
If
The
he actually
first time
got
for everything.
either USCIS interview as to the withholding of deportation, it would have been voided because El Salvador no longer has the crime rate that it did 12 years ago or 10 years ago.
You don't
The
know
issue
that.
is,
You have to
are
like
you still at threat from
adjudicate
Barrios
that.
18?
No?
The answer is no. And so then your withholding of deportation is void. We can deport you. The issue is that for deportation of someone like Rego Garcia, he has a home country, El Salvador. He has a withholding to that to El Salvador, withholding of deportation because of a gang in another country neighboring El Salvador. We can't deport him to Venezuela. We can't deport him to Mexico. That requires treaties. The U.S. doesn't have those, though we do have a treaty with Venezuela, with El Salvador as pertains to Tren de Aragua.
But you could deport like Burmese and Vietnamese people to South Sudan.
He had 2 orders of deportation. He conceded in
dumb.
2019 through his lawyer
It's
that
so
yes,
dumb.
he was here illegally. Yes,
It's
he
so
had been
dumb.
found to
Like,
be here,
I'm sorry, I don't have anything
removable
else to
under the
say
law.
because it's so
He
fucking
requested
stupid.
3,
Especially because, like, you know, we've been going through this.
Withholding of deportation. There was asylum, and then
Like
there
all
was,
these fucking shits.
I forgot
And,
the third one is it's
you know, even
you
with
can't
like
deport him because
arguing
of
with Master
torture.
Liberty on
It's
certain
like a UN
things. I
thing.
mean,
And they denied 2 of them.
I don't want to
Asylum
speak
was
for him,
denied
but it
because
seems
he
like
he didn't apply for it
agree with
in
like,
timely
Tim's
manner.
being a fucking
Deportation
dumbass here.
to
I
El
don't
Salvador
know.
was granted because of Barrios 18 in Guatemala, and then the last one was denied because there's no torture provision. The remedy right now would be
Like,
a
he could be
Zoom hearing
sent to
where he gets
South Sudan legally.
talks to these are executive judges, by the
Would
way,
have been,
and they
I
would
should
just say
say.
withholding denied. Welcome to El Salvador. You're an El Salvador citizen. I think the real issue is yes, it was an administrative error, shouldn't have happened, but the remedy is a 10-minute Zoom call. If we did that, nothing would change. If he was brought back to the United States,
so
he'd
do
immediately
that.
turn
So
around
do
and
the
send back
remedy.
because his withholding would be voided. So
how is this something that you're certain? I mean, the man was. Did a judge not order the Trump administration not to remove the guy? Like,
I think.
It
was.
Oh
it was
my
under the
God!
first
I can
Trump
only get
administration.
one.
He was granted the withholding.
How does it go from
He wasn't supposed to be removed. He got caught up
the
in the
movements my hand
But again,
makes
the
are
due process
so
due to this man would be
minutely
a
different?
hearing under withholding of deportation.
so is he receiving his due process?
No, I agree. They should do it. I actually asked the secretary why not just send the U.S.
Come on.
CIS guy down.
So
there.
why do you think they're doing it?
I think there's 2 potentialities. Trump.
I wonder if they're going to go into the
Trump doesn't
meaning
wanna
of
be weak. He doesn't want to
facilitate.
look like he's going to be pushed around by the judiciary. But I do agree with you.
Otherwise known as following the law.
No, not necessarily. I mean,
Okay.
The universal.
No,
actually,
when this guy
universal
had his
injunctions are
TV show, it was like, well, actually,
So there's a concern that
type
President
thing,
will be
and
set
I
by
was like,
Trump
this guy's
adhering
so
to
fucking
universal
annoying.
injunctions pertaining to the Alien Enemies Act or mass deportation, and he's not going to allow that to happen.
Is
so he
this
doesn't want to
was it this guy or the other guy that was like super like
universal injunctions don't
extreme
exist anywhere
dick
in
to
the
wait
Constitution.
staff?
And we've seen some 40% of all injunctions ever issued in this way against Trump and his administration. He's got more.
The other fat blonde British
universal
dude.
injunctions in the first 4
I don't
months
remember.
than all other presidents ever got individually, and that is.
It's not Adam
I mean, that is
Conover.
unconstitutional. These judges
James
are issuing
Corden?
these mandates which plainly violate.
Yes, that's who it
authority.
is.
So the check.
Jeremy
on that is
Clarkson.
plainly, Trump says no. I'm not going to.
No, Jeremy Clarkson punched
Right. So this is
one of
you know,
his it's like
again the this
aides,
is authoritarianism.
staff
right? It's like
people.
we're-
Authoritarian.
There's a.
Well, I agree. The judges are acting in authority
because the steak was done
Yeah, I mean,
poorly.
it's like
Like,
he you know as
dumb,
an executive
obviously.
is trying to
But-
destroy the power of the other branches of government by ignoring their authority, by mounting
But they don't
like
have the
aggressive legalistic defenses like the ones that you're making
They
in
don't-
order to expand the power of the presidency and be able
Judges-
to act with impunity, which
judges
is
don't
part
have
of
the
why
authority
he's
to do
sending
that.
them. Sure. I mean, look, I'm not a legal scholar. Generally, I would have said that presidents, I think, tend to follow judicial orders more than Trump tends to. Right.
Let me ask you a question. If
Sure.
if
so
a judge
watered down.
ordered
You can take the
to
harder
shoot a man in
stance
the
on
head,
that.
would that be illegal?
The judge
I'm
wouldn't
using an
order
extreme
that.
example on purpose.
Yeah.
It's obviously no. A judge can't order you to kill somebody. That's
Then
crazy.
you'd appeal
We're not
that and
talking
take it to
about a
the,
judge
like a
ordering
higher
you to kill
court.
anybody.
No.
We're talking about judges in, I think we're up to like
Right?
87 instances, issuing universal mandates across the entire nation.
They're
based
federal
on
judges.
lawsuits of
They're
single
federal
individuals.
jurisdiction.
So, what, for example, a recent one was the transgender military ban. Donald Trump issued an executive order saying, DSM-5 mental disorder, you are now going to be inadmissible from the armed forces and will be severed unless you are not showing symptoms. A judge ruled from this point forward, the military under Trump must admit all individuals regardless of any mental disorder.
I gotta say,
The judges only
regardless
admit
of what
people in the
fucking
courtroom, unless it's a class action
what's
lawsuit.
his face did,
Universal
Art
injunctions
Clarkson
are
did,
not constitutional.
Like so,
Man,
like Brown
that-
versus Board
those
of
old
Ed. Like,
Top
so you-
Gear
when a person
episodes
brings
are
a
fucking
lawsuit to
fire.
the government,
country, right?
So a
I get like
person brings a
90% of what
lawsuit
I
to the
know about
government
Britain from that
to
show.
a judge or the Supreme Court about a law being unconstitutional, and like the ruling should only affect that case. It shouldn't affect
It literally
like,
affects the
law.
law. It affects the law.
Uh huh.
So in the issue of lower courts and
Really? I
universal
disagree,
injunction,
but I like the
lower
grand
courts have the
tour.
authority
But
over the singular
I don't know.
individuals
I
in
liked.
the courtroom unless it's a class action. So
I think I like Top
they
Gear
could have made it
more.
a class action. They could have sent out the letters. They could have gotten the signatures and said, we need X amount of transgender military servicemen and women because we want this to apply to all. Instead, what happened was, and I'll argue this. This is where it encroaches into the authoritarian. The judge said all means all.
In the
That's a
Supreme
quote.
Court, they were like, okay, so we're
This
just going to
court
make
created
it
a
a
huge
class when we
uproar
rule.
because it meant that the military
if you're
now
gonna
had to
try and
enlist
pull this shit.
schizophrenics.
Not on this
That
case,
if
but
someone
in,
showed up
like,
suffering
similar.
from manic depressive disorder and they were paraplegic, they were now under this universal injunction entitled to join the military. But I mean,
They wouldn't pass the
schizophrenic
requirements.
bipolar
Like,
who's suffering delusions is not going to be able to complete basic training.
okay.
Now, perhaps there'd be an argument. As
Did
you
he have a
say,
thought
the
there?
judge only said this stay will apply just to transgender military men and women, but they didn't.
The
the
beanie
woman just said
prevented
it
one
applies
from
to
leaking
everyone.
out.
So Trump said, okay, I'm not
He's like,
even
"Oh,
going to
wait a-
defy that. We're going to appeal it. He
Fucking
didn't
hate
even
Tim
ignore the
Pool, man.
order. They went to SCOTUS, and SCOTUS.
You think Trump even knows any of this was happening?
Probably not.
Like,
well, I mean, like,
I don't think he's
I'd
like.
say he probably knew it was happening, but I don't think he had a hand in the day-to-day operations of it.
I
And
mean,
that's true for any boss.
Yeah, it's just funny that we go, oh, Trump said this, Trump said that. Trump, I mean, he certainly hates trans people, but I don't think he's like, and doesn't want them in the military, but I don't think he's like following the day-to-day of the case.
I
right?
agree.
He's like, doing loop-de-loops out on the golf course. But like,
Maybe I need to turn my
the
sense
legalistic points that you're making to me, it's all a fig leaf for like the larger thing that he's doing, which is
Get a little more
bending the law in these bizarre ways.
sauce.
What is the point of
I feel like that's too much sauce.
sending people to El Salvador, right? To like this prison in El Salvador. Part of the reason to send him there, to send Abrigo Garcia there as quickly as possible, is it just shields him from the rest of the legal system, right? It makes it harder to get him back, right?
I'm moving this back to 100.
He's El Salvadoran.
It's just
yeah, but
we're just gonna go
till
till it works.
He's entitled to due process as someone who is in America, right? If you shove people into this like hole in another country as quickly as possible, it gives you plausible deniability. I don't really give a shit about the various again legalistic like little nuances of the ruling. The important part to me is Trump saying, being under an order to bring the guy back and saying, I can't because the president of El Salvador, my best friend, says he won't return him, right?
Yeah, that's clearly stupid.
Saying El Salvador is basically a client state of the Trump administration at this point. He'll do whatever he wants. Like, Bukele will suck his dick. Like, it doesn't matter.
Want something in return?
Yeah, sure.
Money, $6 million, right?
They're friends. Yeah. So it's a fig leaf, right? It's like it's in order to the reason to do it is to just make it more difficult to do the right thing.
I suppose the issue is when Abrigo Garcia got deported, the administration right was like, this is an administrative error. It was an oversight on the withholding of deportation. The Supreme Court ultimately ruled that Trump must facilitate his return. And now the political debate is what does facilitate
and that's
mean? The Supreme Court hasn't clarified, which they definitely need to do.
Everyone knows what facilitate means.
Literally bring him back. And
it
the right
means
says,
provide
it means
all the
provide him
requisite
means to return should he be able. And then
things
I say, okay, the Supreme
that
Court
are
can
required to
just
get
come
him
out
back
right now and issue like a writ and be like, no, we mean go and negotiate. However, the other challenge is Supreme Court also stated that no one can direct the executive branch to conduct foreign policy. So this would mean that
Foreign
Donald
policy.
Trump could get him back in the sense that
Is
he could negotiate
immigration
some terms
considered
very
foreign
easily.
policy?
He could literally say to Bukele, listen,
Like it's
you're going to release the guy from prison.
falls under domestic.
You're going to do it.
But
If you want to keep working with us, if you want our money, you're going to do it. And then we're going to bring him back.
it's like a hybrid.
Bukele would begrudgingly say yes, probably. There is the concern that Bukele would say,
Okay.
I win my presidency on going after MS-13. You've got to give a concession publicly in some way so that it looks like, but you're not going to look. If you shrug or not, the issue is, are we going to direct the executive branch through the judiciary to conduct foreign policy? And you can't do that. So I agree. Trump.
I don't know. Would you
here's what's
call
happening right now?
like a
the executive courts
deportation
their immigration
thing
courts
foreign
should
policy?
conduct a Zoom meeting with Abrego Garcia, and we're done. It's over. That's his
So,
due process.
I don't
He's an El Salvadoran citizen in El Salvador who was imprisoned by El Salvador.
But you have to
My point is
go
this,
through the case to say, okay, it's now
the
safe for
reason-
him to go
there's any
to El
number of things
Salvador.
that they could do. There's some things that both of us agree that they should do. There's more things that I think they should do than you do, but et cetera. The point is, they are like loudly and proudly not doing any of that.
I
Deporting a guy they
suppose.
know shouldn't be deported.
But like a deportation,
Hold on, that's
the
not true in any
deportation
media.
policy
The
is
media,
domestic.
the full
The
reporting that we get across the
treaty
board from the New York
they
Times,
have
CNN,
is foreign
Fox News was,
policy.
he was accidentally deported.
That's
without
it's a
any
gray
constitutional
area.
withholding. So it wasn't an intentional. We're
Definitely,
going to get this
but-
guy and get him out. It was a crap.
In the sense
So
that
when
it's
Trump is,
domestic
like,
policy
holding
that
up
affects
photos of
foreign
his tattoos
countries.
with like MS-13 on it, and like they're giving press conferences about he beat his wife, they're doing character, assassination on the guy. Like all of that is accidental.
No, that's
like,
a political attack against Democrats.
Yeah, right. So and so here, let me just get to the end of my point, okay? Is that, they turn it into a political attack because they are acting lawlessly. They're proud to be acting lawlessly. The point is to demonstrate on this issue we will act lawlessly. You're not safe if you are, even under the protection of a court order in this country, and you should be frightened and you should leave. It's just like it's an authoritarian attack against immigrants directly, and it's designed. It's a leverage of the. It's a
I feel
leverage
like I'm getting
of the
dumber
state
playing this
to try to frighten
and listening to
immigrants
Tim
and
Pool.
other
Oh my
groups.
god!
Not only illegal immigrants. Okay, so let's talk about the students who have been detained and deported. Right, these are people who are under student visas.
This content
right?
hell.
They appear at a protest.
I got one.
And they're thrown into vans. They're held in these bizarre facilities.
You need to get both.
There's
Why are
multiple
they
cases.
If you want to say it,
So the point of this is to frighten people at universities, pro-Palestinian protesters,
Because that's the trick
protesters on the
shot.
left, of course, and immigrants of all types, including those who are here on legal immigrant visas. Like the details of the individual cases don't matter.
I've gotten
They
nearly
creating a
every other
firestorm
one.
around someone who is here legally, creating a
I would
huge
like to say
controversy about that.
I haven't
And
sunk
then say,
enough time
"We
into
don't
this.
give a
We're
fuck.
coming up on
We're
hour
gonna do whatever we
7
want
of
to
this.
these
That's not
people
illegal.
because we want you to be afraid, right?
But that's not.
And that
I graduated
to me,
college
that's an
before I
expression of,
finished
like,
this.
pure authoritarianism. It's a leveraging of state power to frighten undergroups in society that these people don't like. It's like very straightforward. We can mount as many legal defenses as we want of it and say, blah blah blah, according to this statute or that statute. But the actual action is just designed to frighten people Trump doesn't like, and it's bizarre to see him do it.
Let's say yes, but none of that's illegal. That's all actually codified law that they're allowed to do.
Not everything comes down to a legal argument. Sometimes shit can just be bad, even
It's
if it's
bad for the country. It's bad for the American spirit.
We can talk about a lot of bad
Yo,
things that every
this is
administration has
getting
done in the
scary.
past that liberals and Democrats have covered up or participated in or didn't argue against.
Yeah,
So
I guess why. I mean, we're talking
feels
about this one
disingenuous.
currently.
It
It feels
seems-
disingenuous to talk about one thing that the Trump administration is doing because Democrats have done bad things too.
Well, like, for instance, Donald Trump, through Marco Rubio specifically, revoking student visas, saying that these individuals represent a threat to our national security by adhering to our enemies. And literally, that's what they're claiming. I think it's
fuck
ridiculous
up.
to claim that a student who's anti-Israel is working with Hamas. That's silly. But that's the argument he's making, and under the INA, he has the authority to do it.
It's not
So
about
he's
whether or
saying,
not he has
okay,
the
well, when people
authority,
come in here on
but
student
should
visas, They
he?
do sign agreements saying they won't do certain things.
And
They do
even
it,
in the
they kick
Vietnam
out.
War, they
Because
didn't
it's
do this
narrowly
shit.
legal under Marco
This wasn't even like
Rubio's,
a talking
I would
point.
say it's what's fine with me.
I
is
looked for
the revocation
cases.
of a visa for someone who's not a citizen who's here conditionally. Like,
if you
Hamid
have
Khalil,
one,
who was on a
like,
conditional temporary
let me
visa,
know. But this
so
just doesn't.
revoked, I just say like, well,
this
it's a
never
conditional
happened.
visa.
And we were
I
actually
don't go to
fighting
the
in
airport and spit on the
Vietnam.
ground. I'll get caned.
So sorry. You think what's happened to those students is like that's okay with you? Not legally. I'm talking about like as an event that occurred in the country. You're like, oh, it's good that happened. It's okay with me. You think it's moral. You think it's right. You think it's just. I'm not talking about legally. I'm talking about like you say you 60%? Don't. 60%.
Yeah, like nothing's so easily black and white.
Rebeza Ozturk,
Shut
who,
the
she wrote
fuck
an
up.
op-ed.
Take the
Like,
strong
the only thing
stance
that
and fuck
anybody
off.
has even claimed that she's done is she wrote an extremely mild op-ed in her campus newspaper asking that the college like sort of consider being supportive of the Palestinian cause in some vaguely defined way.
Yeah.
Her visa's revoked. She we've all seen the video, right? People come and like grab her and literally put her into a vehicle.
She was arrested.
They're wearing masks, right? I mean, she's stopped in an alarming way on the street, right?
It's not like they filmed that and published that footage though. That was security camera.
No, it just happened to be right under a security camera.
Hey, if you
or
are
on a university,
a student, like a young woman, there's other ways to arrest them than have 6 people show up wearing masks, surround her in a pincer formation. Like it's designed to create terror. So like what Agreed. Okay, great.
They didn't have and Biden's DOJ didn't need to show up at Roger Stone's house at 4 in the morning.
Sure, and you know what? If you want to bring up another example, I'll say I condemn that as well.
Agreed.
If that'll keep us on this topic for a second.
We've had numerous instances across administrations that have acted similarly.
Okay, so
bro,
let's
a young
Rebeza
woman
Ozturk.
at
Why do
a
you
college
think
campus
that,
is
what
getting
was the
black
administration's
bagged
purpose, not the
versus
legal argument
showing
for
up
whether they
early.
can do it or not. What? Yeah. Okay. So
it's literal Israel, and it's absurd that they'd argue. What they're doing when it comes to these students is they're saying they're a threat to our national security, and that's. I mean, it's.
Do you think she was a threat to the national security?
It's technically the truth, which is the best kind of the truth, in that, yes, opposing U.S. alliance with Israel is bad. Rallying in any meaningful way students to oppose Israel is bad for the U.S. foreign policy. But come on. You know what I mean? Like, a woman writing an op-ed that's not from here is nothing compared to the people from here writing the same op-eds. What they're doing is they're basically saying, I agree with you in that they're saying, do not do these things or we will deport you. We will find the thinnest of hairs of a reason to revoke your visa if you come out against us. I'm not completely in disagreement. So the reason why I say 60% when you ask me if I thought it was morally right is because obviously they don't need 6 guys swarming her in a pincer formation. One guy could have knocked on her door and said, ma'am, your visa's been revoked. I'm going to need you to come with me. We've got a black SUV you can sit in. We're going to deal with this in a rather kind of boring way. They didn't need to do that. The claim about a threat to our national security is grossly overestimated. The claim that these people have adhered to Hamas is grossly overestimated. That being said, it is still completely legal in that the individual who comes here on a conditional visa
the
not
question.
violate the conditions of that visa.
You fucking
so
dick.
It's legal. No, but dude, I'm asking you, like, do you think it's good for America that, like, college students who are here on a student visa because of political speech are being thrown into vans and having legal things be done? Sure, it's narrowly legal, but like, they're being
sent home.
She's being put in a prison, and then she's being like forcibly deported. Do you think that's good for America? Like, this is okay. So
marginally.
Marginally.
What do you
why?
think is good? Even marginally, like what's the minor small benefit to America?
Do not come to our country and rally against it and its interests.
Rally against it's an op-ed.
So what is the U.S. interest that her writing an op-ed?
Suez Canal.
The Suez Canal?
Right. The United States. The reason why the U.S. is so I love these Jews people that are like Israel controls the foreign policy. Oh, shut up. The U.S. interest with Israel, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia has a lot to do with like the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. This is why Donald Trump is obsessed with Panama and Greenland.
Oh
to
my
control the global
God!
trade routes. This is what
Yeah,
America's
it's
largely done.
so.
That's why I say it's a gross mischaracterization to claim that an op-ed is a threat to national security, in that It is in the smallest of senses.
No, it's
students coming here and telling us to oppose our support with Israel puts us at risk in terms of the sentiment.
The Suez Canal
as to whether or not we'll fund Israel and control the Suez Canal.
Houthis?
But I asked you if you thought it was good to deport her.
I said marginally. Right,
because we have national interests in the Suez Canal.
We have national interest in students wanting to come here.
Why do you think it was good to deport her?
Asserting
An
US
op-ed that no one's going to fucking read.
What to do. You've got a condition of your visa. You're a guest in this country. Adhere to the agreements we have.
So you think that America,
where you could construe anything as being against U.S. foreign policy,
you're paying into our university system. You're coming here for the reasons that,
and that changes
completely
like
legally,
day by day,
right?
year by year.
Right? This is why America is the country it is. Partially,
I don't know how
people
Tim.
Like this have come
actually,
for decades. If you express a political
he's either
opinion that
willingly
is like mildly at odds with a
being
U.S. interest
dense,
in another country
is
of a
just
canal.
stupid. I think Tim might be on the more willing
you think
to be
America
dense.
should be the kind of country where
Like
if
with
somebody
him
comes
getting
here,
paid by Russia
they write
shit.
an op-ed that says literally anything about U.S. foreign policy, they should be deported. So going forward, literally everyone in the world should know if you are on foot on U.S. soil, you should not say anything in public about U.S. national priorities of any kind, or else you could be deported. Do you think it's good to have a country where that's the understanding?
All right. So you're saying that
this is what I'm trying to drill down to.
The individuals who come to this country and apply for student visas have made that agreement already. So while I would argue,
I was on a student visa to go to the fucking UK.
thinnest of hairs, Mahmoud Khalil makes more sense. I mean,
I don't even know what kind of
organized
visa it
and
was.
helped
I didn't
lead
even
protests
think
that
about
resulted
it
in damage,
because I
occupations
knew
of buildings,
that even when I
several,
said,
staff at the
the
University of
Falklands
Columbia.
was crazy, not actually, the Falklands was whatever.
The issue is,
but
do not come to our country.
I criticized the UK. I criticized some shit they did while in the UK in front of people, and it never even went through my head that they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of this country."
I mean, I really thought the point of America.
They just laughed and were like, "Yeah, that's some wild
freedom
shit."
of speech was like a main value here. That I think that's why people come here. It's why I like living here, because I always felt that, hey, I can express an opinion, especially about U.S. foreign policy, and not have anything happen to me. So that's a right that only citizens have, and you think America should be a country where, if you are not literally an American citizen, if you express any opinion about U.S. foreign policy, I mean, and we both agree the opinion she expressed was pretty mild. It wasn't like a very inflammatory opinion, right? It was like, it's pretty mainstream political opinion to have. It conflicts with U.S. interests about the Suez Canal. I still don't really understand that point, but let's just say that it does. It does. That should be grounds for being
if it talks about
forcibly
Palestine,
removed
that
from
has,
the country.
it's not.
And like, whether or not it's legally the case that we could do that, do you think it's good?
Well, I mean, we can watch that
It's good
too.
to have a country where things like that happen. You think a thriving country is one where people come into the country, they write an op-ed for the paper of the organization of which they're a member. She's paying tuition to go to this school, and she's working for the student newspaper or whatever. She's writing an op-ed. She's probably not employed there, but she's writing for the student newspaper, and that is grounds to be deported. And
always was. I mean, so my attitude.
Do you think that's the kind of country America is?
Always has been. That's why
That has never been enforced. Maybe in like the War of 1812 or some shit. I'm sure you can find something.
Multiple provisions,
but like even during the Vietnam War, it's not.
And so that's why I say it's marginally good, because the issue is the U.S. asserting its sovereignty and saying, as a guest in this nation, we ask you not do certain things.
We ask you don't write we ask you don't write mildly worded op-eds.
You don't voice your
about
opinion.
U.S. foreign policy vis-a-vis a different country's
war. Let's not load it. Let's say, do not speak out against our foreign policy.
So okay, great. So America is a country where, if you, in your view, if you are a foreign national, you are here on a student visa, you've been invited to the country,
like 4 times,
you should not
every time.
Okay. It's fair. To me, it's a.
You imagine if
to
Biden,
me, it's a very baffling position.
what these guys would say if Biden deported somebody because they were arguing, a student was arguing for Russia.
Let me phrase it this way. Sure. My attitude is,
Congress
has passed a law. it was passed in the House and the Senate, signed by the president, and upheld by the courts.
He might even
This
take
law
off his
states
beanie.
it is
He
the
was so
purview of the
upset.
Secretary of State to make the decisions as
Melt
to
it
whether or
off.
not these visas
Yeah.
can stand for a variety of reasons. I say it is marginally good. Her opinion was mild, and I don't think it. I think it's silly to claim that she's adhering to Hamas because an anti-Israel position. My point is, for the government to assert its authority under the law as codified by Congress, the president, and the courts is marginally good. Marginally is, I said 60% maybe. If I was president, I wouldn't do it. But the idea that our country asserts its authority to say, you are guests in this country and we will make the determination whether you can stay or not is a normal process. And to argue that the government should not assert its authority when it feels it
Exactly.
should, I think
It's about
silly.
the principle of it.
There's a world we want to live in, and then there's
And they wouldn't even.
have a right to keep and bear
They
nuclear
wouldn't
weapons.
say it's legal.
Founding
They'd
fathers
find
were clear in their intent
anything.
on the right to bear arms, which included privateers with grape shot. Now we've changed that and said only large corporations that the government approves of can have nuclear weapons. Agreed. Nobody should have nuclear weapons. My point is that if you want to change the law, you have to do it through the constitutional process, and that adhering to that.
Law
is
also
typically a
changes
good-
with what's enforced and what's not
I don't know how we got on
enforced.
nuclear weapons.
It's a point about process of law.
Yeah, but
I
saying
think
the
it's
government has a right to do
marginally
something.
good
So if they
that
choose
you
to
get
do it,
arrested for
okay.
going
If you have a
1
problem
mile
with
and
it, then
over in the
Congress
speed
should
limit
repeal those,
because it's
specifically
legal.
amend the
You're
INA to
over
remove those
the
provisions.
speed
It is
limit.
completely legal under the United States at the will of the American people that this happened. You don't like that it's happening now, but this was the will of the voters and Congress, and it's been law for like 50 years.
The will of the voters was not about student
just because
visas.
something is legal doesn't mean it's right.
Correct.
Right?
We
And
should
I'm
change it then. So my point is upholding the law is marginally good. Sometimes the law is bad.
God.
And that's why it's not
You see how
always
far
good.
back they have
In
to
this
peel
So wait, you're
to
saying
cover
simply the
Trump's
fact that
micro
Marco
like
Rubio exercised his legal authority to do something was good. It's like he had the legal authority to do it. He could have enforced this law as he saw it on anybody. He could have enforced it on a comedian, right? Who's in town and goes on stage and says, "Hey, you know what? I disagree with this or that." Or, "Hey, I just did shows in
Canada, are
I
you?
just did what?
You're not from Canada.
No, but I just did shows in the UK and Amsterdam, and I made fun of UK politics, made fun of American politics.
You wouldn't
made
dare make fun of
Amsterdam.
Islam, though. Go to the UK and mock Islam. Do it.
Well, I don't
not?
have any jokes about Islam.
Well, why not? They got Pakistani grooming games for raping little girls. Why won't you go to the
It's
UK?
not funny.
Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
That's like
I don't think
serious
it's very
shit.
funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused. Dude.
Okay, let me help unconfuse you. Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
Wait,
I
I don't
know.
want to. I don't.
They
wanna
need it
No,
because
no, no,
I mean they are
You're a
like people like Tim Pool are Islamophobic,
Are there
and they
jokes you
need
can
to
make about
push
Islam?
the rhetoric,
Muhammad
like
begged a little
the
girl, right?
like the George
I'm really baffled.
Bush like George Bush Jr. era shit.
Of the subject. I'm not.
They're
No,
still
I'm not.
hanging on
In
to
the
that.
UK, you can be jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs. There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff. Because you will not go to a foreign country and, in violation of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it. I dare you. $10,000 cash in your pocket if you go to the UK and make a joke about Muhammad having a 12-year-old wife.
This we got here faster than I thought we would. In
I
this
like how he knows
conversation.
all the
Where you're
anti-fucking
shouting at me about something I don't
Islam
understand.
jokes.
I don't really understand.
I don't think I can think of a
how you would think it's incumbent upon
anti-Christian
me.
joke
Anybody watching this right
off
now
the top
thinks
of my
you're
head.
confused by the
That's
notion
like
that in the UK you go to jail for
I mean, there's
mocking Islam?
jokes about shit.
I
in the Bible,
don't understand
I know,
how we
but
got
like,
onto you shouting at me about Islam specifically.
Apparently,
I'd
yeah.
like to return to the point I was trying to make.
that other guy was here, he'd be like, "Yeah, I think Tim's got a good point here."
And
Maybe.
you said
I
you're a
don't know.
comedian, and you're a comedian,
I
and
don't
you go to
wanna
other
put
countries,
words in
right?
his
And you said you
mouth,
go to the UK, and I said, okay, if you go to the UK, speak out in violation of their laws and see what happens. And you said, I'm confused, I don't understand. What don't you understand? Will you go to Turkey? Will you go to Turkey
confused
and
as
speak
to
out
why I
against Islam?
agreed to take this fucking podcast
mean,
interview. Holy shit!
If I have a joke to make, sure. I don't have a joke about those particular topics.
You would.
I would.
You're saying if you had a joke about.
Oh yeah, sure.
All
I
right,
would-
Tim,
I would
tell us
try
your
to do the best I can. I always
hilarious
try to poke the
joke.
bear as much as I can. It's part of the job of a comedian.
Nothing to poke the bear
Because
about as it pertains to one of the world's largest religions. I mean, come on.
I mean, I haven't written a joke about that recently.
Does he do jokes about other religions? Like,
I'm a free speech guy, right? I think that something that's nice about America is that we're a country that has that value, and that we don't generally think that you should be tossed into a van and kicked out of the country for expressing an opinion. I think that it is a change. I think it's a change in America to most people around the world to feel that, oh, wait, if I go to America and I express a mild opinion about their foreign policy in my own student paper, or maybe on a stage, or maybe somewhere else, I could be, without any warning to me, accosted by 6 people on the street, thrown into a van, and taken out of the country.
Oh, come on,
right?
accosted.
Oh, let me finish.
Don't load the
I think that's a strain.
What?
I think that's a new idea for a lot of people that America is that type of country. I think that Donald Trump's purpose.
If we didn't know they were ICE, that
turn
video
America
would be
into
like
that type of country.
Not that it's much
I think
better,
that's
but
bad. I think it makes the country smaller. I think it makes the country worse. I think it's a violation of most of the values that I grew up with as an American, and that's my view of what's happening in the country. Now, if you want to say, hey, I don't like free speech for foreign nationals who are in the country who express mild opinions about other countries' foreign wars, then that's your prerogative. It's a big difference between us that you don't like free speech in that way.
I mean, that's loaded language, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah, all the language you're using is pretty loaded.
Well, you keep using adjectives to describe things to diminish one thing while exacerbating or
you asshole using adjectives. What's next? An adverb?
Yeah, but it's
fucking guy.
It's strawmanning. It's not a legitimate attack of the ideas, right? So
he's fucking short-circuiting.
Come on. She was arrested. Okay. She was arrested by a relatively large group of men compared to what a normal.
There's like 6 people.
Which I think they didn't
in all black civilian clothing with masks on.
She was arrested by several men, unmarked, or plain clothes, which didn't need to happen. But I don't need to say like she was accosted by men on the street and like it was about a mild opinion. It's like, okay, listen.
It looked like a kidnapping, man.
Like I said,
oh my!
I don't like the idea that people come to this country and then try and tell us how to do how to live our lives.
You're not for free speech. I understand.
I think American citizens have self-determination and sovereignty, and I will say this even of the Canadians who keep coming here and they keep getting involved in our politics. I'm friends with some of them, but I think it's fair to say that there is an issue with Canadians, largely conservatives, who come to this country and then start advocating for conservative values in a country they're not from. So, to be fair, there are liberals Canadians who do it too. I find it to be silly.
I think it's reasonable for me to say Germany shouldn't vote in the AFD.
Question, but still applies in much the same way principally. So I do.
You don't have to live in a country to have an opinion about their politics. Are you fucking kidding me?
They call it what? The most multicultural.
That's like all of what foreign policy is.
They big on immigration. I think Toronto is considered to be the most multicultural city in the world.
Yeah.
So Canada actually is. You can call it a nice white country. That's technically the truth, but it also is very, very much in favor of immigration and diversity and all these things. Largely, what many of the conservatives who come here are speaking out against. But without you know,
this is a country where if you're from another country and you're in America, don't say anything about our politics, or you could be forcibly removed from the country. You're comfortable with America being that kind of country.
Marginal.
That's something that's like that's the value of yours. Those are your values.
Yeah, true. Now that Trump changed his tune,
I'm trying to understand what you actually believe.
Yeah, I'd say marginally, it's a good.
Because I think that's a point of distinction.
Should deport Tim Pool. Should have a special clause written into law.
You have your value.
As if you are as stupid and dense and partisan hack
about any country's politics.
Like Tim Pool.
My value would just be to whatever mathematical degree, American sovereignty supersedes the right of foreigners to.
No, we need something to scare them.
But in this case,
that's my value.
In this, so you think that literally
this is
America is exercising
for Tim
its
Pool.
Sovereignty.
What would
what
would Tim Pool be afraid of? We need 7 like super Arabic-looking ICE agents to surround him somewhere where there's a security camera, and then just because that would scare Tim Pool. Most people would be like, okay, there's 7 people there. Tim Pool, he'd flip his shit. Yeah. Also, doesn't Tim live in Texas?
thing
How is he so
in
pale?
that particular case? Like, because
What does that mean?
like
You're a guest.
Mark.
With all due respect, I think I've said it like 6-7 times.
Uh-huh.
You're a guest in our country. Adhere to the rules. That's it.
Tim.
That includes conservative Canadians, conservative Brits. That's Carl Benjamin. That's Paul Joseph Watson. That's Viva Fry. That's Seth Rogen. And it's also
Okay, so
Ramesa,
all those people should not speak about American national interests, like the Suez Canal. We shouldn't say the Panama Canal or like is Puerto Rico a state or not.
Visa.
They should not speak about American politics.
You can speak about what you want, but speech has consequences.
Tim Pool.
I mean,
No,
okay, so we can
so
move on.
it's not free
I'll say
speech,
to
you
me,
fucking
That's a
jackass.
radically different America than I thought I grew up in, and I think it's
Look,
fucked up that we're becoming that kind of country.
It's not like not making fun of him for being bald. Just remember, this is what he looks like without a beanie.
It's really bad.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't believe I think that's true?
Well, I mean, I suppose I
like
can
what
say,
I just said. I believe you're like, you don't believe that.
Well, because if we go back several administrations, that's not been the case ever.
What's this Russian website?
I mean, look
with
at
a photo
New
of
York
Tim
in
Pool?
the 2000s when the Bush administration rounded people
right.
up, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Bush during the Bush years, and they put 200 people in like a bus. They locked them in a bus cage.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's the country you grew up in. The idea that
and
these
it was
things
bad.
haven't been happening. George Carlin got arrested for swearing. We had blasphemy
and it
laws
was
on the
bad.
book.
Yeah,
You
and it
actually
was
are claiming
bad.
you-
And then we
Indeed,
said,
and you
we
grew up
shouldn't
in
do that
nation,
anymore.
and it never changed. The idea that you think you grew up in a nation where you could say whatever you wanted is an absurdity. George Carlin went to jail for swearing,
and that was good.
Fuck is this?
No, it
Because
wasn't.
and you think it's good that Rumesa Ozturk is being
She's
forced to
not a
leave the country?
citizen.
We've
She's on a
gone
conditional
down somewhere,
visa
I don't know.
As conditioned by the INA and the existing administration and the
No
will of the
wonder
voters.
he's
Okay, but
such
you're
a piece of
arguing.
No, my
shit.
argument
You're
is
arguing that
you said the
Ozturk's
country-
Anyways, back to the
makes
real
sense
content.
because George Carlin was arrested for swearing.
No, you said I grew up in a country with free speech, and I said no, you did not.
And
it's
you're
never been true.
And you're like, okay, you're right. So under
How
your
is-
view, America is a country
how
that doesn't
has
have free
sucking
speech,
Trump's
never had free
fucking
speech,
shit
Yes.
and that's a good thing.
No,
because we're
made
exercising
Tim
our
Pool
sovereignty.
no.
Okay, but you
defend
think it's a good thing that
anti-free
Rumesa
speech
Ozturk doesn't have
and
free
say
speech?
this
Do you
isn't a
understand the
country with free
distinction between
speech.
a non-citizen here on a conditional visa and an American citizen being arrested for swearing?
I understand that there's a
Very
distinction.
different
I don't think that either of those people should be treated differently in that case.
Let me say this.
I don't agree
This
with you,
country
man.
has never had free speech.
Okay, I think
It's a fact. When the founding fathers finalized the
Do
Constitution,
you think we should have free speech?
Yes, but there are limits on
He
what free
says
speech is based
he's
on
just like
the
a
moral
fucking
worldview, the individual
grass in the
argument. For
wind.
instance, do you believe someone should be
He
allowed
just-
to direct someone to commit a violent crime?
That's
Yes or
not that's not the moral worldview of an argument. That is the effect of the speech. So you think that
hold
you
on,
think
hold
that
on.
whether you have free speech should be your words should be based
I'm
on the
trying
moral worldview of the argument.
I saw like
so
a
to
clip of this.
understand your
I was
view
like,
of what
okay,
free
maybe it's
speech
just
is,
a
I'm asking you
bad
question.
clip.
If somebody
This is
says
all
explicitly,
bad. Like
you right now commit crime
This
to
is
that
bad.
person, is that free speech?
now, I have energy. I have
Someone
adrenaline.
says you right now commit crime to that person, and
Emma.
what do they do?
Emma.
It?
Yes.
And I'm playing the
I
most
mean, I guess I'm
entertaining
not a free
game
speech
ever.
scholar, but like that is there's probably be legal consequences for that free
It is
speech.
illegal to do that. Do you think someone should be able to
Oh
yell
my
fire
God! Direct incitement of
this is a
violence is a
canonical
crime.
example of
Oh my
speech
God.
that's not free speech. So
It actually is. That's Brandenburg v. Ohio. It is, in fact, legal speech. I don't think people should. I understand the Supreme Court's ruling on that issue. The challenge with free speech, let's go back to the beginning of this country. Blasphemy laws were on the books after they even had the First Amendment.
So
they literally say you can't blaspheme. We would say that's not free speech, but how did you have a First Amendment if you arrested people for blaspheming? My point is, and this is an
They built the
anarchist philosophy.
Constitution to grow with the times. All right, they're like we're a little
laws of the
too
country are dictated by those in power to
backwards
enforce
for
it. That's
half
why
the
it used
stuff
to be
we
illegal
actually
to put a pie on
want.
your windowsill, but
you
even though it's
guys
still illegal,
will-
nobody arrests you for it. So free speech
yes,
changed throughout the generations.
you have the
We
change. You
never
have the
grew up in an era-
opportunity to
we
enforce
never
or
had a
not
time in our lives
enforce.
where you had true free speech the way
If you could
the
just-
absolutists wanted.
He
it to
has
be.
all
I'm
the
talking about
pieces.
the story that we tell about
But
ourselves as a country,
just
man.
he's
I'm
using the
talking about
different
the-
elements
I'm talking
whenever
about
they
the
suit him.
values that
And if you
we,
put 'em
know,
together-
that we have collectively as people, and of course those are always changing a little bit, and people are trying to pull them in one direction or another.
Split in half.
I would have thought, that like, I don't know that much about you. You know, I know you're very involved with Occupy and stuff like that and protest movements, which I think is cool work. I would have thought that, like, a student writing an op-ed about another country's war and her own institution's support for it, you know, vis-a-vis our country's foreign policy, would be the kind of thing that you would think is a sort of free speech that we should value. You know, that is the kind of free speech that I think I personally think like a lot of the idea of America is built upon. I think it's one of the good things about the country, that this is a country where you can come here and you can express your opinion mildly in the newspaper.
What happened at Kent State?
And it's
my point is,
I
there's
think
things
it was
we
bad,
wish
man.
America was. But I kind of feel like a non-citizen
But this
getting,
one you
getting
said you
deported.
think is good. You're not sitting here going, ah, man, yeah, that's
She got
a bummer.
deported,
She got
dude. What are you
deported.
talking about? She didn't get shot in the face. A conditional visa was revoked. I'm
That
not
was
crying
so
about it. I don't care.
close.
I mean, I think she cares. I think
That's
her
too
family
fucking
cares. I
bad.
think the people of her university care. I think
Tim loves it.
Like,
change the
It's
law,
a
man. This is a
Muslim
marginal issue
woman?
for a single person who
Tim
was in
Pool's
violation
like,
of the INA. as it's enforced
yeah,
by a
fuck
government
yeah.
That was
This
elected
is
by a
his
popular
fucking
majority, or I
broken
should say by a
based
plurality.
moment. Jesus
but the
fucking
popular
Christ.
vote. So let me pull this up because we were talking about
I
earlier.
need
This is
a Diet
RCP from
Coke.
April 22nd. Every age bracket, to be fair, 40-49 is a tie. But Real Clear Politics aggregate shows from all of the latest polls,
my
70
God.
plus is the only age group that is a negative view of Trump's job.
okay. I'm just trying to.
This is a popular
What?
majority.
I'm just trying to make sense of your position around free speech, because you agree with me about all the past things in America that you're talking about. Kent State, you're talking about George Carlin and all these other things, and these were bad abrogations of free speech. And
Indeed, deportation is not a murder. You're going home. I'm giving you a ride home.
But
Well, if you came to my house, I let you in the door. I said, you can hang out tonight. And you started shit-talking my brother. I say, bro, I'm going to give you a ride home. I don't think you should be here. That's not an affront to someone's sovereignty or free speech. It's like the worst thing that happened to you is I gave you a ride home. Oh, I'm going to cry. She's going home. What's the problem? Home's
Holy
nice.
fucking
She was here
shit.
conditionally. We said, hey, we kind of think you're being a dick. We're going to give you a ride home. That's it.
I mean, when I get a ride,
Talk about not normatively loading things.
Shove me into a van, and then my family doesn't know where I am. That's
You know,
you know.
how about you're at a bar and you're acting out in some way, and they say, listen, buddy,
do you feel
security throws you out of the bar?
Do you feel this
gets
woman
you a
was
cab.
acting out? Do you think she was acting inappropriately? Do you think that she was acting?
I've already told you I did not.
Okay,
I said,
so then how are you justifying what happened?
I don't
Is it legally narrow that it can happen? Therefore, it's good.
I don't
Your
think you know how to
position is
separate.
incoherent.
I just don't think you know how to comprehend the separation between. I have no issue with a woman making her argument. I think it was absurd to claim she's adhering to Hamas because she's critical of Israel. But her visa is conditional. And it is the authority of these United States and the Secretary of State to revoke that. So it's okay. Right? Trump won the popular vote.
What? But
This is the
sorry,
agenda.
man. Sorry, man. This is the hump that I can't get over.
Clearly.
You don't have any problem with what she actually did, right? But Trump,
Marginally, I do, yeah.
Trump and Rubio had the narrow.
Marginally these nuts, you
No,
fucking
you're not
freak.
following. You're not following.
Jesus Christ.
I do not. I think there is a net negative to a degree that foreigners come to this country to dictate our politics. Be it Canadian, British,
Their politics, or just
It's
give their opinion in the
op-ed.
newspaper that they dictate?
Opinion.
Let's. I'll talk on the language. To come here and advocate for policies of the American people.
So you feel that foreign nationals of all kinds, when they're in the United States, should
pissed
never
off,
speak about our
man.
politics ever, upon pain of legal punishment. That is a position that you have about America generally.
Did they agree to it? When they applied for the visa under the INA, did they agree to those terms?
I don't know.
The answer is yes, they did. It clearly states when you're coming on a condition, you can't do certain things. It literally says you won't protest. And we still would allow them to hold a sign up or something. But maybe if they didn't,
But apparently we don't allow them to hold us.
Yeah.
I'm not asking
Yeah,
what
that's
they
actually
agree to. I'm
expressing
not
an
asking what the
opinion
legal
against
thing is.
U.S. foreign
Do
policy.
you,
Damn.
Tim Pool, believe
Dim
that
Tool.
as a moral issue, as a
Grim Pool.
practical issue? Do you think that America should be a country in which every foreign national in the country
Wet
should
stool
feel that they
sample.
should never speak about American politics under pain of legal punishment?
No.
What else we
You
got?
don't think that that's
Well,
you don't agree with that?
you presented me an absolute, right? You gave me the extreme end.
Okay, so Rumesa Öztürk, I think,
nationals-
is a really illustrative example because it was
Or
such a
nationals
mild
should understand
version.
that they've made an agreement upon entering this country that if they are in
Infirm
violation of the terms of
infirm
their visa, they will
stool.
be revoked.
That's
If
a.
they come
I
here
mean,
with the
infirm
intent
is
of
a
advocating
long
against
ways
US foreign
away
policy,
from.
that is a consequence.
Tim,
Speech has
but-
consequences. I think we're getting hung up on the issue that I've clearly answered, and I understand maybe you don't understand, but we can try and
I think I've pinned you down well enough that like you just you just like really have a much smaller view of free speech than I do, and I think a lot of Americans
I don't
do.
think
And
what you
it's
said
I
means anything.
think it's a change to the American spirit. I think it makes the country smaller. It's a shittier country to live in. Is a country where people live in fear of what they say when they're here on a student.
They always
visa.
have.
Yeah, and
Shut
that's
the
bad.
fuck up!
So
Yeah.
bad to live in fear of saying shit.
This is not. You see, this is here's the issue. I suppose
your whole
memory
your,
goes
your
back
whole
3
your whole
years.
bullshit culture baiting thing about the Islam stuff in England. If what you say is true, and it may be, I don't know because I don't really I don't really follow that as
you would
do.
never.
But I think
go-
it's bad. About that country.
You would never go to the UK. And
Oh my God! No, no.
Now look, I don't
Adam.
know of the
You fucked up. You allowed him. You're like, oh, I can get out of this one.
If I were to be in England and I were to make a joke on their stage and I were to be put into a van and removed from a country, I would say this is a bad thing about England, and I think that the country sucks, and I think that they should change it, and I don't think people should go there anymore, and that sucks for them and it sucks
Bro,
for
you
us.
wouldn't make a joke about Islam in the United States,
bro.
You wouldn't.
Okay, sure. What's that meant to prove?
You don't actually believe in free speech. You fear the consequences.
Because I don't make a joke about the topic
Freedom
that
of
you
s-
demand me to.
Because this topic.
Freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequences.
Getting murdered.
Just the.
Yeah, that's bad. It's
And
bad
like
that they were murdered.
South Park tried just showing Muhammad, and Comedy Central wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah, that's bad.
So let's see
I
you
don't
stand
agree
up
with
for that value and come out and make a joke about
I
it.
Dude,
stood up
that's-
about free speech plenty of times. What are you talking about?
Also, it's a private company saying
To the next level, brother.
don't do this
How about
to
we do
a
this?
show that they own.
You believe in free
That's
speech?
Dude, this is what you
fair.
do when you've lost an argument.
So they know they're gonna like
Okay, you're not even arguing.
offend a lot of
You just
people.
jumped to this.
private.
What'd you say?
It's different.
What did I? Oh, the Islam piece of it.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
And now I'm continuing the conversation, and you're derailing into you must have lost the argument.
No, because
Brother, let's stand up for South Park, for Matt Stone and Trey
Yeah,
Parker.
I stand up for them.
So go on stage and show a big picture of Muhammad.
I'm sorry. What the thing that you're doing?
Stand up for free speech, brother. Do it.
So
I'll do it with you.
So you're demanding me to go on stage and
Prove
do
you
something
care about free
specific,
speech. Prove
and
you care
unless
about
I do, I'm a coward.
I'm saying
Bro.
This
I didn't
is
say you were a coward.
this is a
I said,
bizarre
prove you care about
rhetorical
free
move.
speech.
This is a bizarre rhetorical.
I
move.
didn't call you a coward. I
I've
said,
seen a
prove you care
lot
about
of
free
Tim
speech.
Pool,
Yeah, do something that
and
creates
it's
real risk to your
always
person
bad.
for free speech.
Yeah,
This
I
is
speak about shit all the time,
fucking
dude. I'm happy to live in America where the things I say don't create real risk to my person. In fact, if I were to say the things that you're saying, I would not be creating real risk to my person.
You don't think so?
I do not think so.
Then why not just do it? Prove me wrong.
Because I don't have anything in particular to say about those topics.
Just put a picture of Muhammad up and say praise be.
Why?
I'm really glad we got here again because it's just very fun to sit in how weird this part of the conversation is.
Remember Charlie Hebdo?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, a bunch of people were shot because they
Showed a picture of Muhammad.
Yeah, that's bad.
You think if you did that, they might want to shoot you too?
Yeah, maybe.
So you shouldn't do it.
I mean, I don't have it. Well, the particular images that they showed, I didn't think were like very funny. Like it was their right to
wouldn't
do
let
it.
South Park
but-
do it either.
I mean, it's
They
like
censored the whole thing.
Yeah, that's
What's the
bad.
joke, though?
That's bad, and I think that's contrary to American values.
Why won't the free speech people who believe we should live?
No,
in this country
Adam should not
stand
give
up
that.
against that.
I'm sorry. I'm not standing up for free speech unless I do what exactly?
I didn't say the only way for you to stand up for free speech is to do something. I said,
Yes,
why
you
would people
did.
who are
You
claiming
called me a hypocrite, and I don't understand what's hypocritical about me only
What's
doing jokes
hypocritical
about the topics that I'm
is
interested
that you
in.
would not go to the UK and speak in violation of their speech laws.
I mean, I went there. I made fun of their government. I talked about, the fire at Heathrow because that impacted my travel when I was there. I talked about, yeah.
So you can make fun of white people, but you can't make fun of non-white people. You go to jail for that.
Okay, yeah. I think that would,
Google
if
it. Can
it's as
you
say, that
walk
sounds
me
like
through what the fuck this is?
As a comedian,
I thought this was just a total nothing burger.
Speak out against Islam, and
am I right in thinking it's just a total nothing burger? Like, what is the actual?
Are you a coward?
Shit
what's your point?
No, I actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I'm not going to violate them.
Oh, I see. I see the point that you're making. Okay, so when things are legal, they're just.
No.
Okay. So then what is
your argument is that foreigners should come here.
So one of your values is you should respect the sovereignty of other nations. But again, look, this is a recent change in the way that the U.S. prosecutes and selectively enforces the laws that are on the books.
Wait, you respect the sovereignty of nations? Wait, hold on.
That's like a material change in like
I will say,
values of America.
Just because I think. Yeah, I think we.
Can I get Tim on the record saying he respects the sovereignty of nations?
I'm here.
So one of your values is you should respect the sovereignty of other nations.
Your argument is that foreigners should come here.
So one of your values.
Wait, fuck.
Oh, okay. So are you a coward? What's your point?
No, I actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I'm not going to.
What about Ukraine? You fucking fuck.
This is a recent change in the way that the U.S. prosecutes and selectively enforces the laws that are on the books, and that's what happened to Rumeysa Öztürk, and again, that's like a material change in like the spirit and values of America.
Just because I think we spent like an hour on the one subject.
Yeah, I've been having a great time. Yeah,
I agree. It's been fun. I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned that Trump is, it's the makings of authoritarianism and things like that. Do you think that's distinct from any other administration?
The degree
is the authoritarian push from the Trump administration. Obviously, there's going to be procedural distinctions, but I mean, like. Were other administrations not also doing similar authoritarian maneuvers that were a gas?
Yeah, I mean, every single American administration could. I'm sure I can find things that I disagree with. Absolutely.
I think one of the challenges that we have in the United States right now is the people that largely support Trump and voted for him, particularly in his first term and largely carrying over into the second one, non-consecutive, had never voted before. We saw parts of the country that normally don't vote start turning red, start lighting up with new voters. I was at a rally for Trump in Fort Lauderdale, and most of the people that I met were like, I don't vote. I never voted before. So these were new voters, which were like poor, white, working class people. And so I think we end up seeing happen, especially right now, is
ultra rich elite.
For younger voters, it's interesting considering they are shifting to the right.
New York
but
real
they also
estate
have
fucker.
less memory of administrations past. For me, I voted for Obama. He was an evil man. And I didn't vote in 2016 because I said the system is corrupt. I lived through, I was a teenager when the Gore v. Bush stuff happened.
As much as I can take of this. That's going to be stream for today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And yeah.